Quiet on Set!
And action.
Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm Ewan Graf and I'm joined by Kevin Taelemans. On today's episode, we are going to recap the Golden Globes and review two of our favorite films that we randomly chose by a wheel spin. More on that later.
Because there wasn't really a big release this week that both of us could go see, we decided to also review some older films in our Spotlight section. We'll be talking about Motorway and a film called All Along Night that I wanted Ewan to watch for a very long time. And he finally did it! Yay! In preparation for the two new Hirokazu Koreeda films, Look Back and Sheep in the Box, that should come out this year, we'll be checking out the rest of his filmography that we haven't seen yet. So this week we're talking about Afterlife.
I watched a few more recent things, like the first few episodes of the Pitt Season 2, which was my favorite show of last year. And spoiler it, it might just be my favorite show yet again in 2026. I also had a chance to watch the whole fourth season of Industry, and I caught up with Heated Rivalry, and I got some thoughts on that as well. I also watched the new Netflix show His and Hers. So there's a lot to talk about. We also have to talk about the Actors Awards, the SAG Awards, omission of any international performances. They announced their nominations, and even Hawke is teasing his next film with Richard Linklater. Got some thoughts on that as well. Kevin, it's a very, very stuffed episode, so let's get straight into it.
Let's do it.
Let's start off with the SAG nominations, which were, like you sent me a bunch of memes about this was like American performances only, basically. And I think there's not much more than that to say about them. It's just a bit disappointing that, to me, it was like, hey, are the sentimental value actors all not eligible? Or is it somewhat not in SAG? Or why are none of them in there? Wagner Moura also not getting a nomination, which is, in hindsight now, after his Golden Globe win, even funnier to see that the actors didn't even nominate him. But what did you think about those nominations?
It is a bit weird now. If we are talking about the Actors Awards, only American performances, blah blah blah. Well, that argument gets thrown out of the window because Parasite won a few years ago, so that's a bit weird. Now, if Renate Reinsve, or what was the other supporting actress called? Again, I forgot her name. Inga. I was hoping for her last name as well.
Ipstott is her last name.
That they don't get nominated, I sort of understand, but Renate Reinsve has worked, in American films now. Stellan Skarsgård has a bunch. Wagner Moura also has a bunch, so they should all, be eligible and totally already be in the nominee. So it's very weird that they aren't. I, don't really have anything against the performances that are nominated. I'm glad to see Frankenstein get in, the best ensemble piece, even though none of the actual individual performances are awarded, besides Elodie, I think. So yeah. Who's gonna win? I mean, here's the thing. Timothée Chalamet won this last year against Brody, and that's where he gave his by now famous speech about greatness, and where he named all the famous actors and inspirations. So the question is, will SAG go with Chalamet again, or will they go to DiCaprio and give his moment there? Because at the moment, Chalamet is sweeping through that category. So I'm curious to see. This will also be able to be watched on Netflix, I believe, because SAG has a contract with them. So I don't know when it takes place, but I'll not be staying up.
Probably not worth staying up for. If I remember correctly, it is on the 1st of March. So they announced this very early. I mean, the Oscars are even 2 weeks after this. They even pushed the Oscars back to the 14th or the 15th or something like that. It's way too late.
Can I just say this whole awards season is way too long. I know we've complained about it in the past.
One Battle After Another is going to win Best Picture, right?
Yeah.
So what are we
Probably.
doing here? What are we doing here, man? It's like, come on. Let's focus on 2026 movies. Let's give like the underseen things a few spotlight shout outs at these festivals, at these award shows through nominations at least. And let's get a move on,
Yeah.
But the circle jerk thing is that's why we feel like so burnt on like this whole awards season of us really don't giving a shit, especially by the end of it. Because if you spotlight something that is worth spotlighting and more people seek it out, I feel like that should be the purpose for me, at least, as a consumer of these award shows. And obviously, you're happy for someone who like gets an award for a great performance, but I don't know, man. It's just like, that's not the connection that people make. That bond has already been made if people connect with a movie. That sort of industry validation is nice, but I don't know. I don't know if I care too much about it. But it's still notable that there's no sentimental value actors in there. I feel like that was definitely an omission on their end.
Yeah, definitely. That wasn't the only award show, though. We also had the Golden Globes because we postponed our recording. Hey, guess what? We can take the Golden Globes in this episode. So, Ewan, tell me all about it. What the hell are you doing?
These are the Globes, the 2 Globes.
Oh, you're making the Jeremy Renner joke. I get it. Good one.
Yeah. I'm not going any further with that. That's a bad faith joke to be made there. No, let's recap the winners of the Golden Globes. First up, pretty unsurprisingly, one battle after another dominated the Globes, taking home 4 wins. The top prize in Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy. It also won Best Director for PTA, Best Screenplay, and Best Supporting Performance for Tiana Taylor, which beat out Amy Madigan and Inga Ipsdotter, and there was some talk about, Amy Madigan possibly sweeping. I don't know what this means for the future of this category. I should have said that at the start. Oscar voting also begins today in a few hours from when we are recording and closes this Friday for the nominations. So that's why the Golden Globes are so important. These final speeches usually give a huge boost of what actually gets nominated, and maybe some of the things that get less shout-outs actually are omitted from those nominations. Hamnet wins Best Drama over Sentimental Value, Sinners, Frankenstein, It Was Just an Accident, The Secret Agent, and you could see in Chloe Zhao's reaction that she was definitely surprised for winning, and that she had a great little speech moment afterwards. And Jessie Buckley also very deservedly gets Best Lead and tells a story about a person on set who's a grip that ended up making soup for them, which I found very endearing. That's the sort of thing, like the little anecdote stories, feel so. I can never tell if they're like how genuine they are, but I take someone like Jessie Buckley to be very genuine. But it's like, I don't know, it's so performative as well, because you want to opt for that nomination. It makes the whole thing a bit weird to me. The Secret Agent actually gets 2 awards as well, for Wagner Moura for Best Lead and for Best Drama in a Motion Picture in
Brazil is gonna go crazy.
English language, yeah. And when they announced this, when the announcers came out, like people were still talking. I was like, this is not the focus of this room, which was a bit disappointing. I feel like that was a through line for
a bit tone deaf, yeah.
A bit, yeah. They also, it was the only one where they played him off as well, where I heard the music with Kleber Mendoza.
Yeah.
K-pop Demon Hunters, unsurprisingly, wins Best Animated Feature and Best Song for Golden.
What?
If I Had Licks, I'd Kick You gets Best Lead in a Musical or a Comedy for Rose Byrne, which I don't know if it's is it a comedy? It's definitely a dark comedy, but I don't know how funny that movie is. It's pretty gut wrenching. Stellan Skarsgård gets a sole win for Sentimental Value for Best Supporting Actor, and Timmy Muddy Supreme Chalamet takes home Best Lead in a musical or comedy as well. Quickly on the TV side, because there's some good stuff that came out last year. The Pitt, Adolescents in the Studio basically take home all of the awards. The Pitt wins Best Drama, deserved. Also Best Male Lead in a Drama for Noah Weil. It's also very much deserved. The Studio wins Best Musical or Comedy Series, and Seth Rogen wins Best Lead in a Comedy. Adolescents wins in Limited Series, and Owen Cooper, I believe, becomes the youngest ever winner at 16. 2016 for his performance in Adolescence. Erin Doherty also wins for supporting actress, and Stephen Graham for best actor in a limited series. So that one, yeah, is the big winner of the night, next to, I guess, One Battle After Another. Gene Smart also wins best lead in comedy show for Hacks. I feel like she's won that a bunch, or at least the Emmys. And then finally, Rhea Seehorn wins an overdue award, not for Better Call Saul though, but for her new show, also with Vince Gilligan, Pluribus. Just like I said, the more important thing than these wins on paper is also to get that sort of airtime in front of fellow nominees and the industry, and sort of these clippable moments of someone to easily be rooting for, so you do end up securing that nomination for sure. I feel like with the winners, I guess that's less of a concern for them to even get nominated, but like I said, Oscar voting for the nominations begins today. But Kevin, there's always some funny clips that come out of these award shows. What were like your favorite moments of the Globes?
I didn't stay up for the Globes, obviously, but I'm chronically online whenever I go on Twitter, because my Twitter is safe from all bullshit. I mostly see the good stuff, and hence the funny stuff of the Golden Globes. So I'll give you quickly my top 3. I actually thought Nikki Glaser's opening monologue was very strong and oftentimes very daring. I mean, she literally opened it with, and now we are bidding for Warner Brothers at $5 in front of Zaslav, who was at the front table, also calling out shots to CBS and the Justice Department as well, with being edited, redacted. You can only you probably know at the things she's hinting at. Mm-hmm. Also, the jabs she took at the celebrities in attendance were very well balanced for me. Say what you want about Ricky Gervais now. His speech in 2019 was very well done, and I do think his statement there with, all these celebrities that come here for an award, then you can take a joke at their expense for the viewers at home. I think that's actually a totally fair deal and thing to do, and she did it very well. She took shots at Kevin Hart and The Rock, Shumanji next level, I don't think so. And jokes like that were very funny. Also, poor Michael B. Jordan's mom. My God, the way she drank that glass of water after a joke. My number 2 moment is, the shout outs to other crew members in the production. Obviously, Paul Thomas Anderson shouting out Adam Somner, I believe it was, who passed away. The shout outs to assistant directors, and also, for example, Jessie Buckley took a moment in her speech to shout out the gripper on set who was making soup, and that quickly got around on the set. So seeing those moments, seeing those people have their moment in the spotlight, even though they're not there, but they get mentioned, always a fun thing to see. And then my number 3 moment of the show will be Stellan Skarsgård ending statement in his speech, which was in the cinema where the lights go down and you share a pulse with some other people. That's magic. Cinema should be seen in cinemas. He called it also a dying species. So we are trying to keep this cinema space alive as hard as we can, as much as we can. But that's not always the case. My honorable mentions are George Clooney and Don Cheadle's, Ocean's 14, I guess it is now, mention. Also, at a certain moment, again, because I see these moments online, there's also Amanda Seyfried clapping.
in one of the TV awards. Wasn't she also nominated for her role in Testament of Anne Lee? So she was nominated that night. But this was during the TV awards, where she
TV award, yeah. She was preemptively clapping.
She's not paying attention.
And again, that's only stuff you can see on social media, because they don't really show the reactions on YouTube, which I find very odd, because that's always the things you're sort of seeing, and the winner goes to, and you see all the people, and then you see the euphorism, but you also see a bit oh, God damn it. That's also a bit of the fun of the award show, so it's kind of weird you can't see that on YouTube. But last but not least, I just started before recording Stephen Graham talking about meeting Snoop Dogg and being like, "You're a motherfucking gangster." If Snoop Dogg said that to you, I think you do indeed feel like you made it in life.
And when he presented, he was like, "Oh, you guys kept me here for way too long. I'm so fucking high." Oh yeah, I feel like it's always weird in the venue that they do it. It is so tightly packed that when someone wins, they have to like stuff through everyone else. It's I don't know if that's a good thing overall.
Did you see the clip I linked in the show notes when with the tightly packed? Yeah, you should really quickly see that because it's quite funny. Stellan Skarsgård sped up.
That's when I wrote this down. When I saw this Stellan one, that's what I was referencing as well. That like he was so far apart, they also packed him in the back of his table. So like yeah, and then also the music that I don't know. It's different at the Oscars.
Oh yeah, it was at Usher's, right?
Yeah, Usher,
like he came.
But I mean, I feel like overall this was probably a good kickoff. Starting off point for the big awards of the season, but I'm already tired of it, if I'm being honest. Like I don't know how many speeches, how many breakdowns I'm willing to see, like of excitement of like, oh my god, this is such an honor. I was like, yes, it is, but I feel like my care is already waning. But
yeah, and it's always this period, right, of January to normally it's February, but lately it's been March. Yeah, and that's like you have a 3-month period, but then at the same time you have all these other new films coming out, but they keep sort of also getting overshadowed by, hey, look at these 2025 movies, Hamlet, One Battle After Another, because hey, we have heard so little about One Battle After Another throughout these months, right? We need to keep that shit up.
Well, the thing is, at least the widely released stuff of like A Sinners, which was, I believe, an April release or March release, maybe. That's the earliest point where we get like a big movie into theaters that even could play for Oscars contention. I feel like before that, we do have Sundance, we do have the Berlinale, but those are festivals where the movies release the next year or maybe late in the year, at the earliest a couple of months after, like with Sorry Baby, that had a pretty recent release after Sundance, like a few months later. But these films are already being shown to people. It's just in the Oscar like season, there's really no space for it to already be in theaters. So it feels like at the time that we are most trying to celebrate cinema, it feels like it's, you know, people catching up, but we are so ahead that it feels such a like a waiting period for us if we don't go already to like cover other festivals and stuff like that. But
and again, because we are in this sort of ahead, but also in this non-existing, non-stopping phase of catching up, we are also seeing these other smaller movies that we feel like, oh, you know, they should be talked about as well, because that keeps us going as well.
Exactly. I also had something in here. You know, I voted in an awards body as well this year, which I guess I wanted to go over it, but it feels like I'm already burnt out. I don't want to go over another list of like.
But now you participated in this, so you
participate. But we haven't actually. Did they announce? Oh wait, I just realized that they announced the winners as well. Wait, what? Oh no, never mind. I was on the wrong page.
I was like, wait, what?
But I participated in the Discussing Film Awards. I believe there's about 60 people participating on it. I'm definitely one of the people with the lowest profile. And with like people from Variety.
Don't knock yourself down like that.
Just nominatively, I feel like we are on the lower side. But we also have seen probably among those people. We are on the top half of like at the very top of like films consumed overall,
especially you.
Yeah, and I'm the one representing us at the Discussing Film. What is it called actually? Discussing Film Creative Association Global Film Critics Awards. It's a mouthful. Ooh. And shout out to Ben for giving me the opportunity to nominate some films, and we'll have to list it here. I guess I'll put on screen like some of the nominations that because
the magic of editing.
The magic of editing, which is magic. It's magic. I'm magic. Yeah, I think we'll go over them once, like more in detail once we have the winners. They are very much in line with what's being talked about in award season. It really isn't that different, but yeah, we might get some upsets of what actually takes home some of the wins, but they're really not that different from what the consensus has been. At these award shows as well. So something very exciting to me is like in the whole cross promotion of, unfortunately, Ethan Hawke not getting an Oscar or any sort of awards. I feel like it's not in the books, but it would be very hype if he got like, you know, the nod.
Nominated. Yeah,
he's great in Blue Moon. On that press tour, he's been talking about his next film already with Richard Linklater, which will be the 10th collaboration between those two longtime friends. And he's been hyping it up in quite a big way. Basically saying everything has been in preparation for what's to come. The 10th is going to be the best, he said. Basically wasn't shy at all about, you know, hyping the movie up very early, saying like he'll be back on this show in 18 months, basically praising the film. A film that's supposed to be taking place in the 1830s or 40s about hippies and the beginning. It's like jam-packed with themes. It's like about feminism, the beginnings of feminism, environmentalism, abolitionism. All that is a kind of 19th century hangout movie that has been in the works for around 20 years. And Hawke is already in the cast, as well as Natalie Portman, who is in hopes to play Margaret Fuller, and Oscar Isaac would portray Henry David Thoreau. I'm so keen for the next. We got 2 Linklater movies last year, and then this year we are getting 2 Hirokazu Koreeda movies. If we get another Linklater movie in, you know, a year and a half's time, in 2027, I'd be very, very excited. But yeah, what do you think?
we have talked plenty about Blue Moon, which is in Hawke and Linklater collaboration. We're gonna talk about another one of their collaborations later on in the show. But obviously, it's hype. You know, Linklater is a very talented director. Ethan Hawke is a phenomenal actor. I'm gonna take, you know, the hyperbole with a bit of a grain of salt, because, you know,
he likes
that much praise beforehand. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to it, and that's basically all we can say at this point. Oh, okay. Glad to know it's coming. We'll be there to watch it when, you know, it arrives.
Mm-hmm. But we always get the hype up of like, oh, like some fucking sequel to something. But I'm just like, no, this collaboration for the 10th time.
Yeah.
I'm so hyped for it. But yeah, that's not the only like casting upcoming movie news that I wanted to include very briefly. Sebastian Stan has been, I believe, cast as like Harvey Dent or Two-Face. I feel like it's all but confirmed. I don't know if it's 100% yet or if it's just in the rumor.
I think it is.
Because a lot of people were saying like, oh, it's rumored, and then it was like confirmed, but I didn't see it on a ton of sites yet. I don't know if it was overshadowed by the awards coverage, but yeah, I feel like it was confirmed. But just interesting that like we don't really draw these hard lines anymore or as much with, you know, the Marvel and the DC universe of you can be in either of them. Here you get someone who's like basically you know, branching over. I mean, he's a great actor. This will certainly be a good fit, and I can't wait. I think it's been way too long for the Batman 2. For some reason, you know, our very first video episode was episode 91 of this podcast with Lachlan, and we covered the Batman, and that video has been like recommended to me over the last 3 days for some reason, again and again. I don't know why, but it's just like it's always in my recommended. But yeah, watching our own videos, I guess.
I you know what? I also want to just talk about Sebastian Stan. You know, the guy is indeed a phenomenal actor, but I think I admire his picks of projects the most. I mean, he really balances these, you know, bigger blockbusters with Thunderbolts, with, you know, all these Marvel movies, but you also got these smaller movies like A Different Man, The Apprentice, etc. And he's also got a bunch others in the future coming. I'm really interested to see what Sebastian Stan does in general, like very much like Ethan Hawke. Oh, he's in this? Right. I'm intrigued in it. Let's see what his offers.
Yeah. I can't wait for the Batman 2. I've recently, like, you know, saw another like fan made montage of that, like on TikTok. And even on TikTok, you know, not the greatest bit rate. The look of that like movie, that was probably the best looking movie of that year. It was so amazing.
Don't forget, Roger Deakins himself said that the Batman cinematography was the best of that year.
Yeah.
even though it got snubbed, and he said like, "Oh yeah, that's bullcrap," probably because it was a superhero movie.
Yeah.
But again, the wait for the Batman Part 2 has been a long one. Robert Pattinson was grinded with questions whenever he was impressed or like, "Hey, how's Batman?" James Gunn gets asked about it consistently, but Matthew Reeves has some unfortunate situations that also delayed the writing of that movie, but many people don't know about it, so they always are like, "Where is it?" But it'll come here, and again, very much like the 10 collaboration of Ethan Hawke and Linklater. When it comes here, we'll be here, we'll watch it, we'll review it, we're ready for it,
and it will be
Looking
special.
forward to
I'm very very like confident that it will be special, and I feel like it's also okay to wait like 5-6 years for a movie like this, and then we get 2 of Robert Pattinson in this. It doesn't all need to be like, get him out as quickly as possible because he'll be too old to like. It's okay for things to end, for them to be, short. And, speaking of Blue Moon, it's okay to be short. Anyways, all right, Kevin, are you ready for our like main reviews of this week, which are a bit special? If you didn't see it, maybe on our socials a few days ago, we posted a little clip where we spun a wheel of a couple of different categories, and a movie was selected by random choice. It was also pre-selected, of course, by me or Kevin. My categories.
I had 9 movies.
You had 9 movies. I only went with, I believe, 4 categories and 4 movies that I chose. You know what? For context, let's just show them that clip, and it gives you all the context that you need. Today, I'm making Kevin watch a movie that is either a western, a romance film, one that released in the 90s, or is by Hirokazu Koreeda, because there's no other movies that come out this week that we can discuss as a main review. I hope you like it.
Spin it. I'm so nervous.
Is it romance? Is it Koreeda?
Wait, what the fuck?
Oh my god, it's so close.
Oh my god, it's romance.
Okay. This is a fun pick, but I feel like it's the one that you're gonna be the least excited about, unfortunately. It's also the most obvious.
Hey, that's the game we're playing.
Did you want to guess what I picked? Because I feel like there might be like a decent chance.
Sleepless in Seattle.
No.
Oh,
but it is.
That was on the Criterion thing you showed me the other night.
Yeah. No, it's the trilogy that you haven't seen yet. The first movie in that I feel like you're missing out, and I made
before.
Before Sunrise.
But I've watched Before Sunrise.
I mean, Before Sunset. Yeah, you've watched the first one, but you haven't seen the second one.
Oh, the second one. Okay.
We're catching up.
Well, I do own the Criterion trilogy.
That is nice. I only have them on Blu-ray. But yeah, that were my picks. I honestly, I'm low-key a bit disappointed, but this will be fine. It will be fun. I love talking about those films. I love rewatching them, and I haven't rewatched them. It's another
Linklater in the books as well for us. We've talked about this work quite extensively.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is
boy.
Fun.
How about my pick, huh? I got 3 categories. I love going to those movies that have low logs or a low rating that are like underseen, underrated bangers. So I got that category of movies that are just 3.2 on Letterboxd or below. I got classic film. We both are like, we should have a few older movies in there. So I got 3 of those. And Johnnie To, my favorite director, which sort of, I guess, Ewan has done with his favorite director, my favorite director. One of them is at least Johnnie To, so I got 3 Johnnie To movies in there. Ewan, spin that wheel!
What's it gonna be? Oh, Johnnie To! We're watching Johnnie To? Oh!
I love how we both watching Johnnie To, like a favorite director. We are talking about Exiled, 2006, a movie that I gave a 5 out of 5 to. What will Ewan rate it?
So for our selections here, Kevin, I'm very happy with what. Like first, I was like, okay, Before Sunset. This is maybe I got some other very exciting picks that I feel like I won't tell the audience yet because we might do this again in the future. Maybe even with the same movies, the same categories. Because there's some fun stuff to talk about. Some of our favorite movies. In a second, you'll hear if also us watching it was our favorite movie also the other person's favorite movie in a way? Like, does it get close to that? Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with your pick with Exiled, or you want to start with Before Sunset?
Let's start with Before Sunset.
If you aren't familiar with sort of the series, then I would say, what the fuck? What the fuck, man? What are you doing? This is the second in the trilogy, and you really, feel like shouldn't jump into Before Sunset without having seen Before Sunrise, but I feel like that's also a given. And it's sort of with it already having another sequel. You do know that there is more to this story, which is in itself already a spoiler. But the production of this is like very special in the way that, you know, it sort of premiered at a festival, and then 9 years later, I believe it already then it premiered at another festival, and there was a lot of doubt for them to continue doing this. Like, it was special the first time. Do you ruin it with a sequel? And in my opinion, maybe the sequel even surpasses the first one. I truly believe that this franchise, this trilogy of movies, the Before franchise, is the best trilogy in my opinion of all time. It so amazingly captures like what I believe to be this romanticized but also real version of love, and it takes place 9 years later as Jesse travels across Europe giving readings for a book he wrote about the night he spent in Vienna with Celine. After his reading in Paris, Celine finds him, and they spend part of a day together before Jesse has to again leave for a flight. They are both in relationships now, and Jesse has a son, but as their strong feelings for each other start to return, both confess a longing for more, which already gives you quite a bit. I feel like it's just also 2.0 walking around in another city, being sort of in love but also stunted, and processing the time and the life lived in between those moments that they shared together 9 years prior in Vienna. And all I gotta hear from you is 5 stars. 5 stars, Kevin. I need to hear 5 stars from you. But no, honestly, what did you think of Before Sunset?
Unfortunately, Ewan, it is not 5 stars, but that's fine. That's fine. I think the brilliance in this series lies in the fact that the films age with the characters. And you know, Before Sunrise, I sort of watched that at the perfect time, because again, you're the same age as the characters there. When they walk around, it's like, God, that's what I want with someone, to have such a connection with each other. Beautiful film. With the second one, and I know you hate this criticism, right? In the terms of I can't relate to it. But I think that's the brilliance of this series. The more you get older as a viewer, the more of an attachment you will have towards these movies. And that's what I'm looking forward with Before Sunset and Before Midnight. There's a third one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And while I may not love it at this certain moment, because again, I do love Before Sunrise a bit more than Before Sunset, there might be a point in the future when I'm older as a viewer that I will adore Before Sunset a bit more than Before Sunrise. And maybe in the future Before Midnight as well, once I've seen that stuff. I don't know what you think about that statement. Do you understand? Because I do know you hate that criticism. That's why I'm sort of pervading it like that.
This is sort of the place where you're not talking about, you know, the criticism of like, oh, it's a movie set in China, I can't relate to this. It's the story, like a sort of very specific feeling of longing, of being in a relationship, of being in love, and that can be something that oftentimes in rom-coms is incredibly over-idealized or simplified. And here it is very aware of all of those things without pointing them out, and sort of having that ongoing conversation with someone can be as fantastical and non-real, as like someone as dragons slaying dragons. But something about it to me, like, I didn't really concern myself as much with like, am I relating this one-to-one or to my own life, or am I just like very invested in these characters as well? And I feel like, yes, I did see, like, when I first saw this, I was in a like sort of long-term relationship still. And then I also, towards the end of that relationship, I very much related to the before midnight part of the story, which doesn't really make sense because, like, spoilers for that movie if you haven't seen it yet. Which I'm not like, it's not spoilers for you, Kevin, because you, I guess. And
I haven't seen it.
I mean, you do know the sort of premise of the third one, I assume.
Yeah.
So they are together. They do have kids with each other. And it's sort of about like them now having spent time together, and like sort of there's a prolonged scene where there might be a bit of a conflict instead of a like sort of a conversation that leads to them hooking up. It's maybe it's not really about that in the third one, which is why I feel like a lot of people are like put off by it, by their sort of, you know, like, oh, this is where we're heading towards. But I feel like you said, these movies age along with the characters, and they also age with the filmmaker, the involvement of Richard Linklater. This being, if you didn't know that, the first one being based on like a real encounter that he had trying to seek out this woman, and then years later finding out, I believe when the production of the third one began, or shortly before, he found out that like the person he was like, they exchanged phone numbers of the person that he met, I believe in Chicago, and then realizing that she had like died shortly after they had met, which is like so tragic for you know, that encounter to end that way, of something that he like sort of put onto screen. It also, to me, like that to me even added more to this film, because it felt like an extension of something real put into
what could
fiction.
have been.
Yeah, for yeah, I don't know. And then the collaboration between Julie Delpy, Ethan Hawke, and Richard Linklater to be way deeper in this one. The way that they shot this basically constantly at, like, you know, the sun about to set. It is, in so many ways, this movie should not work. Like, the only gripe I have with the film is like when the guy stands up from the bank, from the bank, the what's it called? Is it
Bookstore?
No. When he's sitting down on a bench. Bank is what the German word for it. But he stands up from the bench, and then it's like takes way too long to appear on screen. Like, that to me is the only flaw of this movie. Otherwise, this is to me a perfect film. Like, it's a very funny gripe to be there in the liminal space of, like, you know, those cuts in between where he doesn't exist.
I actually also have one gripe. Like a few. I do think the conversations in the beginning of the film are a bit stronger than once they get in the car and everything. Then it gets a bit messy, especially when Ethan Hawke is talking about dreams. That part for me was like a bit, I don't know if I would ever, you know, put that out there. My biggest gripe at the end, because I sort of knew the end, because again, there are movies out there that I haven't seen.
It's cultural osmosis. It sort of all is already seeped into you, right? You can't really avoid it.
Like, there are a bunch of movies that I haven't seen in one sitting, but I've basically already seen. So I actually sort of knew the ending of Before Sunset. But I was hoping for When Harry Met Sally moment. The moment that Ethan Hawke says, I know, I would have liked a look of the recognition from Julie Delpy's character of what he just said right there, but she doesn't, and she sort of keeps dancing, and then it fades to black. And for me, that should have gone just a tad bit longer. Like, that should have been a When Harry Met Sally, I hate you moment. And so that was really my biggest gripe with Before Sunset, just that ending, because I know it is supposed to be sort of like, oh, I wanted more, no. But I recognize that. But that moment, I feel like could have been stretched just 10 seconds, 20 seconds longer to have that recognition of what Ethan Hawke said to her. That's really my biggest gripe.
Fair, yeah, it ends very abruptly. And that's also, we haven't said that yet, an incredibly short movie. I think to
80
me,
minutes.
Cutting that short is like, to me, this is also one of the sexiest movies of all time, just because of that final, you know, stretch in her apartment where they barely, I don't know if they even touch there, but like it is so intimate. And I also to the parts and I feel like the parts in the car that where it gets the messiest on a rewatch now, I recognize in so many moments where they are just trying to feel the situation out, And it like that is such brilliant writing. It is so subtle in the way that they sort of go back and forth of what they don't want to say, what they do want to say, like keeping the conversation lighter until it inevitably, sort of has to explode and has to come out. But then also navigating that in a way where they make the best out of this encounter. So the whole time there's this sort of pressure. There's also like there's so many underlying feelings that make this one quite tense, but also like so romantic. So I fucking love this film. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I can totally see why you love it. And this movie also made me recognize why Richard Linklater did Nouvelle Vague, because the way he captures the Parisian streets, it's because when I'm watching Nouvelle Vague, I was like, sure, Linklater's having fun here. I'm not totally vibing with it, but sure. But now with having seen Before Sunset, and the link between Before Sunset and Nouvelle Vague, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Why he has such a deeper personal connection to Paris, and why he would do Nouvelle Vague, even aside for his love for that film period. And Before Sunset, I liked it a lot. Didn't love it as much as you. I hope that doesn't, sadden you or anything. But I'm really looking forward to Before Midnight. Okay. I should add that. Oh, before I go though, I have one, because you actually originally picked Before Sunrise because you didn't think I had seen the first. I'm not outing you here, but you just didn't see me between your friends' ratings. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
But I was looking to my friends' rating with Before Sunset, and I got one review of you that will piss you off. And it's a 3.5-star rating, and it says this movie should have been a podcast. It's just
Get no words. Well, I could say that for a while in my top 4 favorites, I kind of changed these 3 movies out whenever I did through I went through a rewatch of the trilogy. Whatever the latest was that I saw was for a long time my favorite. On the first watch, this one wasn't a 5-star. I bumped this up, I believe, on my second watch, and I think I've seen it now for the 5th time.
Oh shoot!
And I've also, in the brief dating history in the last couple of years, I also watched it with someone else again, and then I got stuck in that relationship.
That'll do it.
That sort of really wasn't really a relationship, but in that relationship on one of those films. And for me, I was stuck on that, and this was a reason for me. So it's very personal. But to move past it again and sort of see, even if I'm not at that part where these 2 characters are, at this very moment, and I believe none of us truly are, if we're being honest. This is a very romanticized, idealized version of his, which is why the third one is so great. This might be my favorite movie of all time.
Damn.
I adore it so much.
And I can totally see and understand why. It is great. I do have my problems with it, but again, as I might revisit this series in the future, those problems might dissipate. Again, and I know you hate this phrase, but this series is a grower. It'll grow on you.
I don't hate it. It's just the insinuation of it is a bit double entendre. But yeah. It's
I gave it a 4 out of 5. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Okay, yeah, that's not a bad
Still
rating.
Solid.
I feel my rating of the upcoming film we're discussing, I want to move it down just to spite you, but I can't because it's actually, oh my god, I'm giving it away. But let's bridge over to your pick then, unless you got something else to say about Before Sunset.
No. But the next pick, hey, it's one of my favorite directors of all time. My god, Johnnie To, Exiled, 2006. A friendship is formed between an ex-gangster and 2 groups of hitmen, those who want to protect him and those who are sent to kill him. A very short synopsis, but Ewan, I picked 3 Johnnie To movies. It landed on the second one. It was Exiled, 2006. Tell me your thoughts on the film. We sort of have talked about it lightly, but we saved it for this podcast. What do you think about the film?
Well, what I told you straight away is when I sent you my reaction was like, well, I can't hold my rating from. I don't know. Did you rate before sunset, or did you keep that rating?
I rated it. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did rate it.
Okay, I was just sorry. I just wasn't paying attention then. But Exiled, I rated it 5 stars on the first watch, which is something I try to not do.
Seldom do. Yeah.
Reevaluate if it truly deserves that status. I don't know. Maybe I'm walking back on that, but Johnnie To is someone who we are going to be talking about a whole bunch in 2026. We are going to whenever we do have a bit of space for it in our spotlight sections. We will be reviewing some of his other films. Hopefully he has some new ones coming out. A new one this year. I don't know if that's in the cards.
I know that he has shot a section of his new film, because he isn't really someone who shoots a film in one go. He'll often shoot sections of the film and like only pick it up back on a few months later. So yeah, that's really, he has really unique way of working. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Exiled is a truly special film because it starts off with a collection of characters. Right? We get these 4 hitmen, 2 on seemingly opposing sides, having an order, or like basically, 2 of them there to kill someone, and 2 of them there to protect them. And to me, so quickly, it doesn't really become about like that mission to go back and forth, that repetitive beat of aggressor and sort of protector, but it becomes way more about like friendship and a long history that they share that we never get really to see much of, but you can definitely feel it, that these characters, which I only realized later on, really grew up together. It's a movie that doesn't really hold you on your, like, by your hand. It just like sort of throws you in and throws you to the wolves, and you just gotta fend off. And then it has some of the best action sequences I've ever seen in any film. Knowing that in Hong Kong, where they don't get sort of rights to shoot, and I believe even though this takes place on Macau, on an island, I believe did they shoot in? Do you notice, did they shoot in Hong Kong or did they shoot in Macau?
I'll quickly look it up.
I feel like it doesn't really matter for the rights side of it, because the way that these Hong Kong filmmakers have to shoot their movies is without permits, and like that makes these action scenes even crazier. But the choreography sometimes can get lost in the spectacle of it all. But here it all remains tangible and personal. This is a reason why I feel like it's so close to a Western in a lot of moments. Exiled is so close in the standoffs, in the lingering moments of just building tension and having that underlying relationship be the carrier of that tension, not just the potential for destruction and death and bullets flying everywhere and someone dying. It is also what that does to these relationships, and oftentimes that sort of stuff creeps up on you and you don't really notice. And I feel like I was incredibly invested really early on in this film because it does such a great setup for all of these 4 characters to be distinctive, but not in a way to sort of put them into stereotypes, but it was very easy to distinguish very early on who they are, just in the way that they sort of came across on screen. And I think that sort of is a given in a lot of ways when you watch films with movies where we know the actors a bit more. And it sometimes is something that I struggle with Asian films, especially when they are like a ton of characters introduced right from the get-go and they keep going and they keep going. They don't really do that a lot in Western movies because they're like, ugh, my stupid brain, 2 characters that I do know and famous actors, then I can pay attention. And they don't really do that hand-holding in a lot of, like, not the it is a bit of a generalization, but it is really truly like that in a lot of these films. And there are a ton of characters in this as well, but I never felt lost. And it is sort of a strong point of Johnnie To's direction to keep me sort of along. I did have that a bit with his other movies, Election 1 and 2, where I did feel a bit lost at times. I really enjoyed those 2 films, but this one was just like a step above for me. And yeah, some of my favorite characters in film are on this. Like I love Blaze. I love I love all of these characters that are in there. And yeah. There's a couple of scenes that are just like 10 out of 10s. That are incredible.
Just to quickly interrupt you, it was primarily shot in Macau,
Okay.
from what I could see. And I just quickly went to the trivia section on IMDb. It was Hong Kong's official submission to the Best Foreign Language Film category of the 80th Annual Academy Awards. My God, what a bang that would have been if it got nominated.
Yeah.
And for the film, actress Josie Ho did not work with the script. Director Johnnie To wanted the actors to come to the set with their minds clean so he could draw whatever he could on them, which, that method of improvisational acting is very... He has done that in the past. He has said, like, some actors I really have to sort of hold by their hand, and I know other actors I can sort of let them do their thing. And one of my favorite actors from the Johnnie To film is Suet Lam, the guy who plays Fat. And again, he has one scene that's so funny with how much does 1 ton of love weigh? How much does 1 ton of dreams weigh? And it's like, could be. Yeah. And those moments of levity are never forced. They really feel like conversation that would happen between, brothers in arms like that. But yeah, keep going. I'm actually adoring hearing your thoughts on this film.
I like it. Just also is in the cast of this is incredibly impressive. Like I'm not going to say their names, not because I don't want to, but because I don't want to butcher their names too much. But there are some incredible performances in here, and so someone like Anthony Wong Chow Sang. That's the only one I'm gonna try. Because we'll also talk about him later on, I believe, because he's also in
Motorway.
Yeah, his presence. He's the guy with the glasses.
With the glasses.
Right? And probably the most iconic, probably the one that you feel like he's on the side of the aggressors, of the people sent after to kill him, and he's the one who has the biggest arc of sort of redemption that he tries to go on. There's the biggest hurt that he goes through. And it's like, for a character that comes off at the beginning as sort of being this badass with glasses, like reveals so much of his personality, even with the glasses on. But then obviously you say like the eyes are the entry point to the soul. And holy fuck, I feel like that guy's soul was like unfolded in front of me like a couple of times. And to go from a sincere moment between a couple of guys into a crazy shootout back and forth to make that tonally work, it's like, who can do that? It really, this movie should not work tonally as well as it does as like a coherent story that feels both deep and deeply entertaining. Like it has both of those layers in there. Like it also is such a portrait of a time, of a place, of the comedic bits of the cops just like showing up and go like, I'm gonna not fucking, like, it's midnight, I got my pension, I'm gonna dip out of this. I'm not gonna get involved, because like the control is not with the police, it's all with this organized crime, and sort
the
of
triad.
The triad, and that sort of hold it has over all of the characters, of like that grasp being sort of inescapable. And yeah, that is quite terrifying. There's nothing they can do to sort of escape that other than like, be better at them at shooting a fucking the Red Bull. I love the Red Bull moment at the end.
Yeah.
What a sponge is it?
So good.
It's not a spot. It's not an endorsement, I assume. Probably not, like 100% not. But it's very funny the way that it's featured in there. But yeah, no. You tell me about like some of your favorite moments here.
I actually sort of, because I have the Exiled Blu-ray right here, and there's a booklet in it. I haven't had the time to go fully through the booklet, but I have done my fair share of reading up on Johnnie To, because I've already seen like 19 films of the guy. None of them have really disappointed me, and most of them have actually been like more than 4 out of 5, a lot of 4.5 out of 5, and a few 5 out of 5s. But this movie is supposed to actually take place, like it occurs on the days leading up to the handover of Macau from Portugal back to China. And while we never see this, it is actually only communicated to the cop. I mean, he even says, there's been a peaceful transition, there's been a regime change. Like, those words are said in the movie. And again, fun fact, when reading the IMDb trivia, the red car the gang steals and bears the license plate MF9799. The two numbers refer to the two dates when Hong Kong, where the gang comes from, and Macau, where the film takes place, became special administrative regions of China, respectively July 1st, 1997 and December 20th, 1999. This period of, I want to say, 99 till 2006, even 2007, Johnnie To made movies, and they were political statements, but, censorship obviously existed, but he always manages to sneak it through. And you can feel that with this movie, with every movie, especially Election and Election 2, because he has said, there's a reason Election 3 doesn't exist, and he wants to make that very badly, but he just hasn't been able to. That's what I'll say about the political background on things. But for me, Exiled as well is just like his magnum opus in this crime noir genre that he has. He has done a lot of these movies. It's sort of his niche, to be said. He has a certain mold of action noir genre. You can see that in all the movies I'm going to name. The Longest Night, If Hero Never Dies, which is getting a Chameleon Films Blu-ray release. Really looking forward to that. Again, Chameleon Films have released a lot of Johnnie To movies, and that's the way I've been able to own them physically. So massive shout out to Chameleon Films. Running Out of Time, The Mission, Breaking News, Election 1 and 2, Vengeance, and Drug War. And for me, Exiled is his magnum opus.
And if you don't have access to something like Chameleon to it be shipped to you, or you don't want to wait for physical media, or you just prefer, to stream it, I feel like Criterion has also been a great place where at one point they did have a collection. I don't know if they probably still have the collection. Sometimes they do have collections only for a month or two and then they go away. But I was able to stream this one on the Criterion channel, which is, another thing where you do want this to, not come from some dodgy place. You do want to like the sort of creator approved version of it. And this premiered at the Venice Film Festival.
I saw that. Like a bunch of of his films did in Cannes. Like Election 1 and 2, I believe both debuted at Cannes.
Mm-hmm.
So like the 1 year and the year after.
To me, it is still surprising that like you have a lot of these filmmakers who have been at these festivals for years and years and years, but still to a Western audience of Europe and the States, they haven't made an impression that goes beyond cinephiles. And to me, that is both. Yes, I do see why it is not, the sort of very over the top action of what's his name, John Woo or something like that, who can break out of that mold by making something more appealing to like an American audience, or like Johnnie To going, no, I got to do a movie with American actors. He doesn't. I feel like he has no interest whatsoever to increase his popularity, but just to make the movies that he wants to. And I think that is just like a great thing when that ends up working out. The hard work is paying off.
And yet his popularity has only grown over the years. Like you can truly feel that. And I just quickly wanted to name something in this booklet as well, because at a certain moment he entered a workforce with a television broadcaster. Then he got enrolled in a station's artist training class, and in his fourth year, the class would become a jewel in the broadcaster TVB, with famous alumni, including the likes of Chow Yun-fat from Hardboiled. You got Stephen Chow. You got Lau Ching-wan. You got Andy Lau. And both Tony Longs. Like, that's the crazy alumni class. I know, right?
In the same, the same year?
In the same year class, yeah, apparently. It's a nuts thing. But
that's crazy.
To go further with Exile, as you said, there is, he doesn't really have interest in working with American actors or with screenplay people, it's a bit different, but with in production crew, it's mostly Hong Kong and Asian. But this movie really is an amalgamation of Western and Eastern influence, and you can feel that. This is Hong Kong meets Leon meets French cinema, French crime cinema, to be particular, etc. And his Johnnie To's movies are known for his films with chock full of unusual or eccentric characters, and like truly like intriguing plotting that's just brimming with dilemmas of action philosophy. I think that describes his movies the best way. But quickly, I also want to mention, before we go further with the structure of the film and the film itself, like there is this movie apparently takes place in the Jangyu. Again, apologies if I'm butchering this, but in the Jangyu genre, which it's a metaphorical world in which the wandering swordsman and martial artists of wuxia fiction roam, at once existing within but separate from the world of man. It has its own unique society and culture governed by its own particular standards and rules. So the triads, the black society, whatever you want to call it. However, Jangyu as a concept is something that crosses over into the modern world, also meaning any social environment unique to a specific group, such as an industry, profession, or subculture. So in this case, the criminal underworld. That's why the criminal underworld, a regular setting of Johnnie To's film, as well in the entertainment industry, are both commonly referred to as Yangyus. So that's like a really interesting thing. So this black society and the way that gangsters apparently are represented throughout Chinese and Hong Kong histories, like has evolved, and like that's how they describe it, which is a really interesting piece of knowledge that I'm glad to know, because again, you wouldn't really know it from watching this film, but like there is so much more going on behind the scenes. But to go back a bit more simplistically with the film, Ewan, this is one of the greatest cinematic openings for me. Come on, man, that score, we can even play it, because I don't think it has been claimed. Like I couldn't even find the score anywhere on the internet except one little piece that we can probably play right now. That opening with the door, the shootout, come on, man, that's electric stuff.
You know what? This is high praise. I would compare this to Once Upon a Time in the West. Like, yeah, it's a very similar opening of how long, like it builds to that first shootout as well, which is, I believe, in Once Upon a Time in the West, it's about 17 minutes in, I believe. Well, like, because it really drags it out. Here it's a bit quicker, but still
12 minutes.
Yeah, it's building to that. I love it. It's like it gives you, what we sort of for a year now, I believe, we've been sort of trying to praise that in a movie when we find a sort of representation of what the whole film is about in like one specific scene. That's great. And I think that first shootout is like sort of, without spoiling it, like the sort of misfires, intentional or unintentional, as sort of the whole representation of the film to then like come from a circle of actually doing something for each other with a purpose, and that like you realize that these characters might be holding back as well. It's not just that they outskill each other, but that they also don't want to do it. And I like that a lot, because you don't get that at the start. Like, why would you know the relationship between these? And then it becomes more apparent as you go on. And I love a good movie that packs like a sort of twist in sort of the character relation later on, without just withholding information for you, but giving you more context. And I think there's a distinct difference that like a recent series that I watched is just about twists, and it is so annoying in the way that it's just basically reduce the whole context of the show for no reason. And I think here it is so based already, like all the things are laid out to you, right? That's sort of the impressive filmmaking, where further watches, further your understanding of the characters, they don't give you more context or like make you something figure out and then it all clicks into place, but it's also about understanding these characters, and yeah, the performance is sort of in a deeper way, and there's a lot to take away from. It's yeah, a lot in there, which is really impressive for like as sort of on the surface level one note, some of these performances are to like bring their comedic bits in and all that. Like even the guy who just runs that motel, there's a lot to him, and like it's a very political statement in the like way that he sort of embodies the sort of opportunistic way of behaving. And also the backdrop of knowing that there's going to be a peaceful change makes the sort of immediacy of like, we need to resolve this in this way, because is there something that's going to be changing? Because I read it as like the reason there's already this change happening, that's why this triad head is like, he's the guy who's like newly in charge at the start. I thought that, and then I realized, oh no, this has been their boss all along, so this has been something that's been going on for a longer time, which also is slightly giving you slightly different context or interpretation for how the police react, because like they are done now, he's retired, but then also maybe the sort of conflict might be in a way maybe a tiny bit retired if there are bigger changes coming for the country. Which is very interesting movie. I love a movie that afterwards I want to read up more about the history,
Yeah, and you can definitely, with Election, you can definitely have that. With Exiled, you can definitely have that. With many of his other movies, you can have that. And again, Johnnie To has done it all. The guy isn't just well-versed in crime. He, when he was coming up, he really helped on a lot of different productions, mostly in comedy. So he also has like a shit ton of comedies that work well. He had done musical. He has done drama. He can do it all. He all does it with great mise en scène. I hate that word, but I just want to say it because this movie has some great widescreen composition throughout. My favorite being in a certain black doctor's apartment when they are hiding behind curtains or like a little board, and you can. It's in the show notes. I can look at it and I'm like, God damn it! It's so good. I'll unlock it for you now, Ewan.
I can see it. I can see it. Yeah,
it's so good. But you actually messaged me during that scene. What did you message me?
What did I mean? It's just something about this being peak or something like that.
No, you said like this scene triumphs the first scene of No Other Choice. That's what you sent me.
Oh yeah. It's like it's also like it was very funny as well, but it was also heartbreaking. It was like it had a bit of everything in there. Incredibly tense too. Yeah, some great stuff.
Yeah, some great stuff. Just quickly want to mention, at some point they're doing a road trip that's based on coin flips. Again, every moment when we watching this movie, I was like, yes, it's memorable. How much does a ton weigh? That dialogue was fun. There's even a campfire scene. So when you said like, hey, this really feels like a Western, well, there's even a campfire scene. And the final shootout with the can, this movie is just a masterpiece in thought confrontation and suspense. A lot of people talk about Sicario and the border scene. Well, this movie has a couple of scenes like that with suspense. And, there are a bit of a small imperfection in this movie. For example, the bulletproof vest. Sometimes you really see through his clothes that, there isn't really anything there. But he's wearing one, sure. And almost the non-existence of reload. Because now we are in the John Wick time where you have to reload this. But this movie is more interested in his bullet time, in his bullet ballet, ballad, if you want to call it that. And there's also something magical about action like that, because we don't really see that anymore. Nowadays, it's really about, getting those, being more with the environment and those quick reloads that John Wick does. And there's also no hand-to-hand combat in this movie. Most movies, action movies, they combine the both. So yeah, Exiled, as you can see, I adored it.
Yeah, I'm going back to my notes of what I sent you. I did write down peak for me, at least in my notes at one point, which is after that shootout, and the sort of repercussions. I don't want to spoil it because I feel like a lot of people haven't seen this movie yet. Definitely go see it on the Criterion channel. After they go to it, I wrote down mouth agape after that whole scene. So I was just like, I was like that for like
Yeah.
a solid half minute. My next note was like them flipping coins. But yeah, it's just a brilliant movie. I also love how they like stumble back into conflict without really seeking it, but that's the only way they're heading towards, which works as a metaphor in a way too. But like them just hanging out is what you would want for these characters to escape, but they're inevitably heading towards that danger again, that they can't escape it. It's brilliant. I love it.
Well, in the short, we said I gave it a 5 out of 5, and actually, this movie became my favorite Johnnie To movie. It was Election. I am gonna switch out Elections in my 4 favorites for Exiled. Yes, this rewatch really just engraved that in my 4 favorites. I absolutely adore this movie. I gave it a 5 out of 5, but in the short, I said, will Ewan give it a 5 out of 5?
I also give it a 5 out of 5. I think
Let's go!
An incredible movie. And like I teased at the start, 2026, we're going to take a look at some more Johnnie To films. We're not going to put a timeline as to how many of those we'll watch every week, every month, or whatever. But I feel like what we should do for our audience as well now, after you've hopefully gone out to see Exiled, let's pick the next Johnnie To movie we'll review, and whatever we don't know yet.
Now?
Let's pick one, and that's going to be our next one. I didn't tell him this. I mean, I have one that just sort of I know that would have been the next in line that you wanted me to see.
You are putting me on the spot.
I know the one that you want me to see next is Breaking News, probably.
Yeah. My only problem is that's another like crime genre, and we can very much talk about that one. But I was perhaps like hesitating. Should we go more into like a romance film that he has done?
Bro,
you know probably which one. Like there's a comedy one, My Left Eye Sees Ghost. I really love that one as well. You got Fat Choice Spirit, which is apparently a traditional New Year's film in China and Hong Kong. At the end of January, they usually watch that movie. So I'm really hesitating, but
but this was an easy choice for you. Sorry.
No, they didn't, because he has so many bangers.
Yeah.
But you know what? Let me stick with my guts. We'll do Breaking News, because again, we've done Election, we've done Exiled, and we will probably read up a bit more on Johnnie To and the situationship that was in Hong Kong in that period. We'll do Breaking News, because Breaking News very much is also a movie about propaganda, which in this state of the world, Breaking News is mad relevant. So we'll do Breaking News next. But shit, man, you put me on the spot. Jesus.
Breaking News premiered in Cannes, and it was released a year prior. So yeah, it's he's also doing a lot of movies, which like that's one trying to say.
In that period, he did so many. That's why when people talk about give me the greatest movie run of all time. Election 1, Election 2, Exiled before Breaking News, and you got some comedies in there that actually are very good as well. Like, he was so productive, and he got movies through so many censorships as well, when there's clearly a political statement or background to them. So I'm mad impressed. Unfortunately, he hasn't made that many films anymore, but please come back, because I know he has been in the Berlin jury as well at some point. In the past couple of years.
Exactly, yeah.
But I'm very happy, Ewan, you discovered this guy. Let's go. I mean, I know you watched already 2 movies of his, but
which also were picked by you. So you definitely put me onto him, and we're going to be watching more.
Can we tease the next movie? Because we're not just gonna watch Johnnie To movies. We're gonna watch more world cinema in general, because we do like discovering. Because you said next week we're covering Infernal Affairs.
Oh yeah, bro, I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. I totally forgot. Yes, definitely. We are also doing that. Oh my god, let me put that in my notes. Otherwise, I would have totally forgotten too.
Yeah. So the next Johnnie To will be Breaking News, but the next world cinema movie, because Ewan says it a lot, but of course it's an Asian film. No. Let's not just watch Asian film. We'll also watch maybe some South American films. A Brazilian film. Who knows?
You decide.
Hey, maybe some African movie. I recently saw one that was quite solid. Definitely recommend some world cinema if you want. Because unlike the Actors Awards and the Golden Globes, we adore world cinema.
Yeah, I also have a privated list at the moment of my, a public one for my 2026 watch list, which is just every fucking wide release, limited release, whatever I can get my hands on. But I also have a list that is a sort of amalgamation of a couple of different lists on Letterboxd. We have like the one with the 250 fans, the highest rated ones on IMDb, on Letterboxd, a bunch of that stuff. That I put into a list that are older releases that I want to make a priority in watching those, but also in preparation for festivals. We try to have seen at least one movie of someone who doesn't have a directorial debut, so we have an understanding, because I feel like in a lot of ways, giving you a bit of the historical context or something, opening yourself up, it's not priming yourself to enjoying something that you wouldn't enjoy. You're forcing yourself to that. Like, I feel like that can be misaligned in a way of like, the highbrow sort of filmmaking of this is only meant for a very elite sort of, like people who enjoy watching like 3-hour movies about the despair of humanity, and this is great death and destruction. But it's also opening yourself up for understanding other perspectives more, is sort of trying to be ready for that. I feel like that is something that like, I don't know if that gets said enough. I feel like that's what we should do in a lot of our like interpersonal relationships, and as we are like such a global, connected world, that's often what we are lacking for an understanding, where it's always in bad faith. And I feel like with movies, making the first foot forward to try to enjoy something, not forcing it, often goes a long way to like enrich your life, and get to see great stuff, get to enjoy more of life, and I'm looking forward to that. So I got a lot of movies. You know what? Warrior. I haven't seen Warrior. That's one of the films on my list that I have yet to see. I know you'd love
with Tom Hardy.
Yeah, I haven't seen Warrior.
Oh,
I know you mention it all the time, but
that movie was in my 4 favorites at some point as well. Yeah.
I mean, I also hadn't seen Moon, which I know is one of your favorites. And
what? Wait, nah.
I have seen it.
I thought you had seen Moon.
Yeah, I've seen. But when we like, not for the whole time that we met each other, like that we've known each other, I've seen Moon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, let's talk about another Asian action movie. Oh my god.
I know, but hey, I adored this one, but you didn't, unfortunately.
It was okay.
But I said it beforehand, though.
Yeah, you called my rating. We're talking about Motorway. Wait, I can't talk. Motorway. From Soi Jiang, or how do you know how to say his name?
Soi Jiang.
Soi Jiang. Okay. Well, I watched my first film of his. I got to see at a midnight screening in Gunn in 2024, Twilight of the Warriors World In, and I was incredibly impressed with the sort of using the limited space of that, like sort of cube, like small city within Hong Kong, which is an actual real place for a setting of like an action film. And here uses the setting of a police, like of these chasers who go after speeding people, but there might be also some more things going on, not just on speeding. But it's definitely like a spectacle film that focuses on fast driving. I like, for me, it needs to be so hyper stylized, like Baby Driver, for me to like really care about the driving parts of an action movie. Maybe that's why I was a bit more lukewarm on it. But yeah, tell me about Motorway. Why did you really want to watch this week and make me watch it?
Johnnie To also, because again, Johnnie To, there's an involvement with Motorway. It's produced by his production company Milky Way Images. Mm-hmm. And Soi Jiang directed Accident first. That was he was tapped to do for Milky Way Images. And Johnnie To had quite an involvement with that one, along with his other reoccurring collaborators, not only with his actors but his team. And for Motorway, from what I've heard and read, that was one really Johnnie To sort of laid back for and let Soi Jiang do his thing. Mm-hmm. And with a result that I found quite thrilling. I said in my review, like the way this movie is structured, like two guys were like fishes to water, trying to outmaneuver each other with some slick turning, dodging, and most importantly of all, intelligence. This movie is, this movie is anti Fast and Furious. Like Fast and Furious would love to be what Motorway is for me. Without all of the bullshit we have now going on in those movies, whatever the fuck it is, space, submarines, whatever the hell, longest runway of all time, whatever. And this movie leans way more into Drive, for example. The iconic opening of Drive with Ryan Gosling. This movie has that atmosphere going throughout its entire runtime, which isn't long, only 89 minutes. I know I gifted Lachlan this movie, and he still hasn't seen it. What the hell, Lachlan?
What the hell?
And I know that when I gifted it to him, because I saw him opening it, he said like, oh, only 89 minutes. That's perfect. That's if you give me a movie that's like shorter than 100 minutes, like there's a bigger chance that I'll see it. He said, still hasn't. God damn it, man. But yeah, Soy Shang has been a really interesting director for me to follow as well. Twilight Warriors, you mentioned. Limbo, I also adored. I gave that 4.5 out of 5. Funnily enough, the same rating as Motorway, like 8.7 out of 10. It is a bit predictable in terms of, here you also got a cop that's retiring in a few days. That's a bit predictable. But for the rest, my God, that car chase scene in the parking lot when they are turn off your lights and the way, I loved it, bro. I don't really want to say much because I don't want to spoil it, but the way they structure these 1v1s, someone called it car chase ballet, as we said, like bullet ballet. Like this was car chase ballet. I totally understand that feeling. This guy Soy Shang is amazing in what he does with building atmosphere, with building suspension. I yet to see Mad Fate and SPL2. SPL2 apparently is also an action banger with Tony Ya and Simon Yum. Louis Kor as well. My God, what a cast. So I'm definitely going to watch SPL2. I think I own it as well. Flex. But yeah, why didn't this movie work for you actually? Because I loved it. I was so locked in.
I think it plays very cheesy. I believe it's a bit over edited. I like some of the shots. I think it's all over the place. Character wise, I don't enjoy the villain. There were quite a few things going against it, if I'm being honest. That I didn't really enjoy it, but I think some of the moments, the highs of it all, some of the chase scenes, obviously, and I really enjoy Anthony Wong Chao Sung's character as like the one that's about to retire, and what he has to offer in the film. I think that's what was to me the most intriguing part of it. I like the little tagline it has there, like 2,000 runs per minute at 2 kilometers per hour. I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Before I started the movie, I was like, after that makes sense. I know what they were doing with that. Like the control of the car. Again, I feel like that this is more for people who enjoy cars a bit as well. Like it's a tiny thing, but I think for me, really I could not give less of a shit about cars, and I don't really share that passion. And I think you don't need that. The criticism that I hate, like I couldn't relate to this. I'm not speaking. I don't even have my driver's license. Not really what I'm saying. It's just to me it didn't really click. I also didn't really like how it looked in parts and how it was lit. It was just like a bunch of things compounded onto each other that I was like, I really liked Warriors World In way more than this, but yeah.
I'm curious.
I enjoyed it.
I'm curious as to what you will think of Limbo, because I really adored Limbo. That's also a detective serial killer type movie in the vein of A Silence of the Lambs. So, and it's in black and white. So again, very much stylistically different.
Oh yeah, I didn't like the villain. I also didn't like the lead. Like I didn't like both of these characters. I really liked the about to retired cop, but
I'll admit there isn't much to the characters. They are very, they have one thing going for them. The main lead being, I want to be a good driver. I want to I want to stop this recklessness that's happening on the street with reckless driving and all that. But the characters in this movie, for me, like, are good at what they do. It's not just merely, action for the sake of being a good guy and a bad villain. Like, everyone is methodically, like, very precise in what they do, and very much like someone going through documents, like I love the Patrick Willems video stuff. Why are we so interested in investigative movies? Well, that's just because people are good at their job. And with Motorway, that's exactly that, but with cars. And this is also before when we got drones. Like, they were really communicating on a physical paper map.
That was my favorite scene of him just shouting out like where to go and having the map open and like the cutting back and forth of him looking at the streets. And I was like, how does he know where he is? That's crazy that he like, he knows, because they don't there's no time to communicate that. But
yeah, and there's no bullshit satellite TV following the trackers or anything like it is. And also the situations they put the cars in, like oftentimes they're in the street, now they're in the mountains where there are a lot of bends. The change of environment also is thrilling for me. Like, every car scene feels different. It doesn't feel the same towards me. But projecting that movie on the wall, being in the dark, totally locked with Motorway, I had a great experience. But it's unfortunate you didn't, but I figured.
Dude, I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's not, that's a positive rating still.
Yeah, I know, but still.
But I didn't love it as much as you did, yeah.
But, from one Asian film to another. I can say that one more time after this.
Asian podcast, huh? Let's talk about a film that was like laid in, when did it come out? 2024. It made it onto your top list, and you sort of flashbanged us with like, here's a movie that neither of
my top
none
10,
of you have seen. Here it is in my top 10. I was like, okay, dude, cool. Talk about a movie that none of us else are like, okay, you're so different. He's not like the other girls. But he actually picked a great film here. I found a great film that I finally had the time to check out as well after you wanted me to check that out. We never did an updated 2024 list, so there wasn't really a reason for me to like immediately watch it. And with us doing that different this year of doing a redo once we have a chance to like watch all of the spillover movies, the smaller stuff that hopefully gets onto like some sort of digital release later on, something like All the Long Nights for 2025 shouldn't fall through the cracks. But this is the movie from Sho Miyake, who should have been on our radar already with his new film, because we've enjoyed his other stuff quite a bit. He also had a film out that came out in 2025 that won the main prize at the Locarno Film Festival, which I also attended, and I got to see that film there as well, called 2 Seasons, 2 Strangers. But we very much enjoyed Small, Slow, But Steady, which is just like in a sort of genre that he's carving out for himself, a tiny little subgenre of just compassionate people, really heartfelt stories that emotionally grab you in a way that don't feel manipulative. They do feel maybe a bit cheesy is the wrong word, but it's like very like heartfelt and earnest in a way that
like
is right on the line of like it being too much, right? Being over earnest. But he's writing that line like somewhat pretty perfectly, I'd say. Let's hear it from you. Why is All the Long Nights something that, a year later, as I'm catching up with it, why is it worth like talking about it yet again,
I mean, it's just people looking for a human connection. Again, you said it perfectly. His films so far, like, people are understanding. They are helping each other out with their inner battles. You see that in Small, Slow, But Steady, which I adored, and with All the Long Nights, and even with 2 Seasons, 2 Strangers, which didn't fully work for me, especially in terms of structures. But again, the themes that are brought on, this loneliness that everyone is struggling with, and again, like, his movies are uplifting. They're rarely tearing each other down. A bit in 2 Seasons, 2 Strangers, but that's more because of the industry and just wanting a human connection with each other, man.
Yeah.
All of these movies that we have seen of him have been about that. Now, to be fair, the guy also has made Ju-on Origins, so a horror movie, and one other movie that I haven't seen of him, And Your Bird Can Sing. But again, that even the synopsis of And Your Bird Can Sing, with a contagion sense of abandon, 3 young adults' lives become intimately entangled over the course of a long summer. Again, that just feels like they're trying to uplift each other. They're trying to make each other better. And this movie, All the Long Nights, for me, the epitome so far of his career.
I mean, I also want to read the synopsis, which I sort of glossed over there, because I think
All the Long Nights.
It gives you a nice, like, you don't really, I feel like you got an understanding of what sort of the theme is of the film, but in the actual story, it's about 2 work colleagues, one who suffers from panic attacks and another who suffers from extreme PMS. The company distributes toy planetariums. And then it says in the synopsis, what may not sound like a Ozu Yaojiro is actually precisely that. He's the director who made Tokyo Story, all of those iconic films. And I totally see that comparison. It's one that also, like in a lot of his films, even though they are like in those films by Ozu, they're so sort of just looking at like a sort of construction of a family, and then you finding the depth in that. And here it is building on that with a bit more of a modern understanding and framing of all of that. But then it goes on to say people are attentive and do each other good without even realizing it. And that's the reason why I wanted to read that synopsis still, because it's precisely what his movies are. Like, we often don't see the inner life of someone else and how they're struggling. We see our own struggles and how we feel like they are a burden to someone else for them to even be aware that they exist. And often that connection just comes through being having a place where it's okay to share those things. Obviously, where it's not about like, you know, me, but it's also just about like having the place to express them. And that is so incredibly valuable. And finding that space within a story like this, where you are putting it to the hyperbole of like, you know, someone who is basically unable to do a lot of the things and pulling himself back from life because he doesn't know how to deal with it because he has panic attacks, and the other person who's basically, you know, she knows when the ticking time bomb, you know, can be going off and can sort of adjust to that, but it's also crippling her social life. And it's then finding the sort of little compassions in life that are so important, and they're very uncinematic. Right? It's not really completely, it partially is like about fixing them, but the fixing isn't done by like realizing something about yourself or whatever. It's because the world around them as well as themselves get better. And that's something that is like often so unobtainable in the real life. So seeing it play out in fiction like this is like often so incredibly moving. So yeah, I found this to be very, very endearing.
Also, Ewan, I can promote this movie in a very good way, and you'll know why.
Okay.
I went back to what I wrote about the movie. One sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Wept at my thoughts about the night memo.
Yeah.
As you know me,
he doesn't cry.
I don't cry at movie. I'm a cold son of a hearted bitch. I don't cry at movies. So when you do make me cry, you know the movie leaves an impact, and All the Long Nights did. I even remember that because I went back to the 2024 video, and that was the movie that I watched that night. I absolutely adored it, and it snowed outside, so and I love to do it with the bright clear sky, and especially with All the Long Nights and the way that it's a planetarium. Like, I laid in the snow, I looked at the bright lit sky, full of stars, the moon. There was the shooting star. I cried even more, and that's the effect that All the Long Nights had on me. And that's a big praise, you know, coming from me. If you just need a warm hug of a movie, All the Long Nights is the one to seek out.
Mm-hmm. I love the extended cast as well, you know, with the people at work there as well, or just all the people that
the kids,
the kids
that are shooting the documentary, even them washing a car is therapeutic.
It's all of it, feels, and at the same time, again, it doesn't feel like it's overbearing, it's cheesy. It's
no,
just,
never.
Special. It's hard to do. It's hard, not that all of this earnestness pays off. It can read as fake and performative, and it really doesn't here. Which I feel like this is also a place to shout out like both of these performances that are, I think, really, really great. They're really good.
Also, I love the poster for this movie.
Oh yeah, it's a great poster. The sort of just very colorful.
The animated one, all the
I love, it's the sort of night sky and all, but then their shadows that they cast for one another are brightly lit up by overlapping, which is such a it's a beautiful visual allegory for this whole movie as well. All right.
So Ewan, I can say it again.
9 out of 10 for me, by the way. I love it. I love movie.
For me, it's also 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
But Ewan, from one Asian film to another. Last time I can say it, all right?
It's Hirokazu Koreeda. Probably, maybe, potentially one of my favorite filmmakers. And there's some movies that I really, really enjoyed from Hirokazu Koreeda. And when I saw that you randomly watched Afterlife, I was like, hold up.
Randomly. Hey, randomly.
Randomly.
It was the first film of the year.
Okay. Well, that's still it's not like you had another reason for it. Or were you like, this is kicking off my year-long endeavor
to
it's
kicking off
my
last year I watched Nine Souls, and I figured even the year before I might have watched an Asian film, 2024. Let me quickly glance over it. Oh no, that year was The Witch. But last year I watched Nine Souls, and I was like, let me do another Asian film that sort of tackles the same topic, which Afterlife does. Nine Souls also very much does. Absolutely adore Nine Souls. And so I was like, let me start off also with Hirokazu Koreeda, because that's also a filmmaker I want to explore more of his filmography of. And I do own actually all of his movies. Not a flex, just, it's fine. I know Ewan is looking at me like, boy, I want to slap you right now. But that's okay.
No, I want to rob you. That's what I want to do.
But no, that's why I watched Afterlife. I was like, I want to watch more of this filmography. I know Afterlife is a very good rating with 4.2.
Yeah,
so
it's very
I was
much
like,
beloved.
let me put it. Very much beloved.
Seen actually, let me sort that real quick. By average rating, oh my god, I'm so surprised. It has like a 4.2 rating, but you wouldn't guess it. It's the 6th highest grossing film. That is crazy. Wait, or did I do it?
Wait,
wrong?
what?
Yeah, no. Oh, I forgot that Monster is a 4.3 on Letterboxd. That is crazy. I thought that must be lower. But yeah, it's the 6th highest rated film on Letterboxd. I thought
which
it was
is crazy.
Higher.
Crazy
That is
consistency.
crazy. Yeah. I do believe, if I'm being personally honest, perfectly honest, this is one of the films that I enjoyed a bit less of his, but his level is like an 8 out of 10.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
No, again, not to call it back, but that's the same thing I have with Johnnie To. Like, the consistency is crazy.
Oh yeah. Wait, you said you own all of the movies on physical media. I watched My Sunshine with him standing behind me at gun. So are we done with our flexes?
Yeah, but I didn't say it was a flex. Again, I'm just happy I can own that.
No, I didn't say it was a flex either, that I got to meet him, but
yeah.
And it was also he was talking to Xavier Dolan, and I overheard that conversation that they were having. Sorry, I can't stop flexing.
What did he say?
Oh my god. He just said like I really adore your films. That the like truly special is with Xavier. So and Koreeda was like, oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's like a very simple.
So humble, and it's like thank you.
Very humble. Yeah. And like for My Sunshine, which I believe came out in 2025, I saw Sydney Volpe put My Sunshine on her favorites list of the year, and I was like, oh fuck, I could have done that. That would have been up there, but I
shout out to Sydney.
Shout out to Sydney. And My Sunshine, amazing film that he also produced. But Afterlife takes place.
What if I say I'll watch My Sunshine before the updated version, and maybe I'll sneak it in?
I forgot that you haven't seen that yet, but yeah, that and Heated Rivalry to talk about like things on ice.
Nah, I'm not doing Heated Rivalry.
I'll talk about that later on. But let's give the people the synopsis for Afterlife. On a cold Monday morning, a group of counselors clock in at an old-fashioned social services office. The task is to interview the recently deceased, record their personal details, then, over the course of the week, assist them in choosing a single memory to keep for Eternity. Speaking of Eternity from A24, which had sort of a late search and was quite popular, making a lot of people's top 10 lists. I think not even just like casual moviegoers, but a lot of people really connected to that. And I also couldn't help but keep thinking back to like the logistics of these different sort of, it like Eternity limbo spaces, and what their sort of reasoning is. I think Afterlife is sort of shines in the ways that Hirokazu Koreeda always shines, is like taking the time to look at someone with like, I don't know how to describe it actually. Just like having people talk, like their interview sessions, right? To give you an understanding of who they are, not in a way of like explaining their life away, giving you context in one moment, but in little bits that let you piece together a part of themselves. Which I felt like in this movie, it was definitely the most like, we put on sort of what their whole life was in a few moments, where when we actually see them interact in a family setting, I think that's where he's so great at, like a collection of characters. And here it is sort of the I thought at first that like the people going into the afterlife are going to be more of the focus of like that spotlight these different lives that they've lived and sort of take the meaning out of that. But then it becomes way more about like the people working there, and that sort of creeps up on you as well, like their sort of involvement in their lives and how it affects them to be doing their work. But yeah, you tell me, what did you think of Afterlife?
You mentioned Eternity, I Raise You, Defending Your Life, another Albert Brooks movie. So hey, look how interconnected this episode is. But no, Defending Your Life is the ultimate, afterlife movie, starring Meryl Streep as well. So, high profile project, but that I adore that movie. So I couldn't help but juggle those three movies into my head, Afterlife, Eternity, Defending Your Life, and many other movies that has sort of tackled this topic before of the afterlife, how you'll be judged. And Afterlife has a very interesting take, is that you only can take one memory with you to the afterlife. So this is sort of a stop between those phases, and anyone gets here, whether they're good or bad. So they sort of leave out if there's a heaven or hell, because they're like in a stop between. Indeed, like you said, it became more about the people that work there, and I was more interested about the people that got there. He also, from what I've read, he also has just had people come in and sort of interview them about their lives. So this movie has a sort of documentary-esque style, presentation to it. And Afterlife didn't hit me as much as the other Hirokazu Koreeda films does, but again, that's such a high bar. The guy has just raised the bar. Every new movie of him I watch with so much anticipation that oftentimes it might fail to live up to it, and maybe Afterlife did, but it's still a great movie nonetheless. And did I like some of the side plotting in this movie? Maybe not as much. There's one character in this movie that doesn't know which memory to pick, so they hand him over his life essentially on like little VHS tapes, and he has to watch it and has to choose it. And then there's a plot that comes from that character that I wasn't really much of a fan of, but that aside, Afterlife is still a really wonderful movie. Koreeda doesn't miss.
Yeah, end of statement, I guess. Yeah, I quite like that side plot.
You did?
Yeah, you're talking about the older character, not the younger one, right?
Yeah, the older, yeah. I was actually more interested in the younger version. I would have loved to see what he would have done, yeah.
Interesting. No, I was less interested in the younger guy. I guess just speaks to you being young and me being old. Which there's only 2 years between us. But
Boomer!
Literally the same generation. I was born in a different millennia though as you. Yeah,
Still a boomer.
Doesn't help my case. No, okay. Never mind. He's not even listening. See, he's perfectly representing our generation.
I'm rage baiting.
I found that to be the sort of confrontation of like you can't choose, because maybe like the regrets of a life lived in the wrong moments, or like the wrong choices made, are like something that is so like, as someone has to reckon with that, that can be, as a viewer, if they're truly a bad person, can be cathartic. But then it's also, you're indulging in enjoying their misery in a way, if they're truly bad. But this is not about that. This is about like sort of having that regret settle in for the little compounding moments that add up to the sum of your life that isn't really peaking in a very grandiose way. And like having those little things be sort of the memory that you forever want to live in. And maybe it's not that high that you want to live in. The sort of thing that you are not appreciating in the moment is, maybe the old lady just going out to pick a few leaves and coming back and sort of enjoying the selection that she's made. And I think this movie, to me, never really 100% gets there of what I would wish it would sort of, like, I feels like there's a little bit of untapped potential here where it doesn't really get 100% there, but I totally see if people really, really love this film that it gets there for them. If to me it was a bit muddled because a lot of it becomes about filmmaking as well and like how they shoot these memories. And that to me logistically did not make any sort of sense, that there's this sort of limitation placed of they have to reshoot their memory. And like,
since they could deliver it, especially since the ordinarily guy gets delivered his memories,
Exactly. So it's like, is it tapping into like a sort of collective recording of all of time that they can tap into? Is it from their perspective? Because it's not, because it's, it's like a lot of inconsistencies that shouldn't be for the theme it's going about really relevant. But when it becomes so much like specifically about them recreating it through a camera lens, then it's like muddled with what he's doing as a filmmaker and the core theme of the film of this afterlife, which like didn't 100% work for me. So yeah, again, I'm still at an 8 out of 10 for this. I think it's very much worthwhile. But yeah, that's Afterlife.
I'm trying to think of segue from one Albert Book mention to an Albert Books movie.
Lost in America.
Oh my god, where did you get that?
Well, I don't know, man. It just popped up. I don't even know who gave me this. Like, I have no clue. You get a little. He's not enjoying that at all, huh? Yeah, you got me this on physical media, and yeah, that's great. I love physical media. I always watch my movies on physical media. Totally. Coincidentally, this is also streaming on the Criterion channel, and much like my books that I read, sometimes I listen to the audiobook and then I read alongside it. And sometimes I do that with my movies as well that I own on physical media. I stream them on Criterion and forget that I have them on physical media and actually don't watch them on there, which is what happened here. I'm sorry, Kevin.
You can enter the dog coping, the dog I'm cooked meme. That's how I feel right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. But hey, Albert Brooks is someone who has been in like, from what I've watched, I feel like I haven't seen actually, this is my first Albert Brooks movie. I just realized it's crazy.
You have watched the Albert Brooks documentary though from Rob Reiner.
You think I've seen that? I haven't seen that yet. No.
I thought you did.
No. I didn't correct you last time when you said like, oh yeah, I've seen that. But I also haven't seen Defending Your Life, which you just mentioned, right? And he hasn't made that many films himself. He's been mainly an actor. He also is the lead star in Defending Your Life. It really. The lead star in Lost in America here, which is about David and Linda Howard, who are successful yuppies from LA. When he gets a job disappointment, David convinces Linda that they should quit their jobs, liquidate their assets, and emulate the movie Easy Rider, spending the rest of their lives traveling around America in a Winnebago. Then I go, she a bay.
But this, I'm surprised it's your first Albert Brooks movie because he really is quite a vital American filmmaker, not just an actor. Even I believe those are even the words of Steven Spielberg. So yeah,
Modern
highly
romance,
praised.
Real life. I don't know if Mother is seen as a great film. I don't know. But yeah, he's made some. I feel like he's more known as an actor because he has like almost.
He is, but the movies he's done have been highly praised. All have been picked up by a special boutique, whether it's Criterion, Arrow Video as well. So the movies are very iconic and classic. And you watched Lost in America. Actually, as you were reading that synopsis, I realize how memorable that movie is because I remember the way that he convinces Linda to quit their jobs. I remember their travels. I remember the casino. The casino is a classic scene for me as well. But what did you think about your first Albert Brooks movie, Lost in America?
This is the sort of thing where someone is miserable and you're having such a great time. I'm like, fuck yeah, this guy fucking sucks. Like, the sort of entitlement he has throughout this whole movie and how it's like very accurately being called out upon without like laying it on too thick with all of the characters existing. It's a sort of movie where it feels like there's a real world existing, right? It's not just a comedy that exists for certain bits to be delivered to you. It's a world that they exist in, and the comedy becomes through the situational humor, right? But it's very much set up in a narrative still, and I feel like a lot of movies, a lot of satires, a lot of they don't exist in the first place, like that many of them, and then they're always like constrained as well. No one really dares to go as broad as they do here. Often for a lot of like valid reasons, because I feel like, you know, the stuff with the wife and is sort of like spoilers here of them. Should we talk spoilers for this, or should we say...
I mean, this is one of the older movies. It's not really a more recent movie, so I guess we could.
But like her, like, so spoiler warning, her like basically gambling all their money away on like one of their first days. Wait, is like to me it is in that trope of like, you got the husband who's working, the sort of wife who doesn't know what she's doing, which is a bit of like, it felt like a slightly misogynistic stereotype in there, but I think it is overall fine because it's funny, and it's not really at the expense of her gender that much. It does feel a little bit like a movie of its time in some places, but I think that's also not really a valid criticism often, because
you could say that with a lot of 80s movies.
Exactly,
I feel like.
Right? And you can reduce them down to like, oh, they're not valid because there might be some problematic things there. No shit. But I wasn't really concerned with that, as well as like someone who's watching it having been born almost in the 2000s. All right, I'm not that old. But dude, I just enjoyed stop. I just enjoyed the whole movie. I just had a great time. I like so many times. I told you this as well. Like, I either write down Lamau or I write down ha 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 when I'm watching something. And this movie had a bunch of Lamaus and ah ha ha ha, because I was like, what the fuck is this plot? Like, what is happening? Where is it going next?
Can you explain me your one sentence review? The perfect double feature for No Other Choice doesn't exist. Maybe for the viewers.
Yeah, because he's basically quickly from a job that he has sort of the feeling that he's supposed to be moving upwards in, not getting exactly what he wants. So by his own, I feel like, I guess No Other Choice is a bit different that way, but they end up both unemployed. And he becomes very desperate for a new job. And yeah, I don't know. To me, it was like, hey, this reads sort of perfectly. This sort of pairs up very nicely with No Other Choice. Not that he goes on to like kill people, but I don't know. It just like kind of felt fitting for a satire, but set in very different times. But it felt relevant.
I also think it's very interesting culturally because Lost in America is a very American movie. No Other Choice is a very South Korean movie. So the balance with that double feature, I think, is also very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, him just lashing out at the like crossing guard guy in the street. It's like, there's like a ton of these moments where he just is completely losing it for very irrational, like how we go into the scene, right? We sort of want him to maybe like it can be very frustrating if the whole movie is just like him falling on his face again and again and again, because he is not a likable character, but he's also not like he doesn't have the movie traits of someone who's horrible as well. He's just very entitled. That sort of being confronted with the realities of what he feels like he deserves to be in life versus what others are doing is where a lot of the comedy comes from. So that's just like it's very well written, and also very well, like Albert Brooks is great in this as well. I also really I really enjoy Julie Haggerty as his wife here. She She is stunning in a variety of ways that I don't want to explain any
And
further.
she's actually mostly infamous for Airplane because she's played the air stewardess on Airplane, and I love her performance in that. Like, she's a great comedic performer.
She's very funny in this film as well, of course. Let me see. Do I have any other notes?
Does he have any other notes besides ha 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 and LMAO?
Well, I
I'm
wrote
trying
down
to fill
Julie
time.
looks like Alison Brie, I guess. That's one of my notes. But
actually, let's try pull the Julie Haggerty and Alison Brie next to each other. Do we agree? What do people think? Do they look alike? You tell us.
You tell us.
Comment down below if you made it this far into the video. Do they look alike?
Yeah. The whole bit of like them being free from society is so funny each time they say it, because
yeah,
you're free from this recording. He did. That like you mentioned, that scene in Las Vegas where he's like
trying to convince. Oh, it's so good.
It's so funny. Great film. If you haven't seen it yet and you want a good laugh, then Lost in America, definitely a recommendation.
Are you gonna check out any other Albert Brooks movies?
I mean, I'm very interested in Defending Your Life. You keep mentioning that. I feel like you mentioned it outside of us talking about Afterlife before. We didn't talk about Eternity, so I don't know how it came up. So yeah, I'll be checking that one out. That's unfortunately not on Criterion. I try to use my Criterion subscription.
Isn't it?
No, it's unfortunately only available to rent from what I saw. But
I could have sworn it has a Criterion Blu-ray.
It might have. It doesn't mean it's on the Criterion streaming service.
Right.
But yeah.
How else will you watch it?
Well, I don't have it on physical media, unfortunately, but I'm sure I'll find a way to.
Well, how about we go from the screen to the stage with Good Night?
Today.
What?
These transitions today, he's bringing it.
I know, right? How about we go to the stage with Good Night and Good Luck live from Broadway? I adore the movie. I think David Strathairn in Good Night and Good Luck is one of the best performances of all time. And now we have George Clooney himself playing Ed R. Murrow in Good Night and Good Luck live from Broadway. Can I just say the supporting cast of Good Night and Good Luck live from Broadway is exceptional. Especially Clark Gregg, if you want, most famous for Avengers, where he plays Phil Coulson. But he like Clark Gregg portrays a level of sadness in Good Night and Good Luck live from Broadway that I haven't seen much of, and the way he performs that is stellar. But Good Night and Good Luck live from Broadway, I should tell you the synopsis. The stage adaptation of George Clooney's 2005 film followed the story of journalist Edward R. Murrow's stand against Senator Joseph McCarthy's anti-communist witch hunts in the early 1950s. And McCarthyism was actually a thing we learned in our course in communication sciences, and how a message and the person that conveys that message can get transformed, can get disformed in many ways. How someone can attain that information, how to interpret that information. With McCarthyism, that was very prominent in our course, and in the 1950s, where everyone, with even the smallest links, I mean, even in Oppenheimer, that gets quite told with, oh, you followed this, you followed that in those interrogations. The same here. Good Night and Good Luck is sort of this transition point in TV where you go from neutral news, no commentary, just use what happened, use the footage that is there, and you bring it to the people. There's no anything opinionated in there. And now with Edward R. Murrow's fight against Joseph McCarthy anti-communist witch hunts, there is this time, oh God, maybe a dash of commentary, just something to nudge against this McCarthyism. And I love the way this Broadway play conveys it. I love the way the movie back from 2005 conveys it. Is George Clooney as good as David Strathairn? Absolutely not. And he even has this little George Clooney things going on, his little, like, the thing that George Clooney does, even in Jay Kelly, he does in Good Night and Good Luck. So I also want to shout out quickly Glenn Fleshler, because he plays the producer on this. And there's also one other producer, I forgot his name, but they're also the ones that are fighting for Ed R. Murrow's fight against him. Like, hey, these are the implications of this. if you do this, this might not go well. We might lose our sponsor. You might lose your time slot. In this case, in this modern age, that really isn't the case anymore. Anyone can have a platform nowadays. The ending of the Live on Broadway version also hints at that, using modern footage, how we've evolved from the 60s all the way to now, to CNN, to Fox News. There's a little montage of it. And that can probably be a hit or a miss with a lot of people. For me, I was sort of in the middle. I was like, oh, okay, good that you make that statement now. Might get a bit outdated in the future, or it might even be more relevant in the future. Only time will tell. But good night and good luck. I absolutely adore seeing shot stage adaptations. We've talked about a few in the past. Prima Facie is one of the best shot stage plays I've ever seen. Jodie Comer, holy shit, what an actress. If you haven't seen that one, or Help with Stephen Graham, who won the Golden Globe for adolescents, definitely go watch those ones. Good night and good luck. It's streaming on Netflix. Maybe watch the movie first and then go watch the Live on Broadway version. That's how I would recommend it. But yeah, those are the films that I have I've seen. Would also really quickly mention Untamable or Indomptable, which is the French title, which is about this detective in Yaoundé. Police chief Bilong is investigating the murder of a police officer in the streets and at home. He struggles to maintain order. A man of principle and tradition, he's reaching breaking point. And you know how there's this stereotype with African parents, did you get the belt? Did you get the slipper when you were young? And we're now in this worldwide transition of, where you don't harm your kids to make a point anymore. And in Africa, that is still, that's not a point that just has transitioned everywhere. In Africa, there is still this type of sternness, especially that sternness with your children. And he's struggling with that even more because he's also a police officer, he's a detective, and there has been a murder. And the way that they investigate the murder is so wildly different from what we see in modern crime shows. There is no, DNA, no photographer, with the flash. There's nobody in these white suits to prevent DNA. No, all you see is a pool of blood and a potential witness, and he tells him, can you do this just to recreate the scene? And he even mentioned that, oh yeah, in Europe, they would solve this in a day, but unfortunately we can't. And then you have the way his daughter is sort of, swooped, put away from the family. He has a tough time trying to reconnect her, but he also has 4 other children. So Indomptable is a very interesting investigation into parenthood in Africa. This balance of being warm but also being cold towards anybody, even your own family. Really recommend that movie. And then last but not least, we got Kumail Nanjiani with Night Thoughts. And I really liked his stand-up comedy. At a certain moment, he does revert to a little crowd work, which I thought that's art. You only have 55 minutes. Why do you all of a sudden, I know you want to make a point about immigration, or like, oh, where are you from? But you can do that yourself. So that's my only problem with it. He has a lot of great bits. At a certain moment, he says, like, I'm the third guy to get cancelled for getting ripped. What the fuck? Since when was that in the rules? And the way he delivers that. I thought Night Thoughts was very good. It's not my favorite stand-up of 2025. That still goes to Ruben Solo's Lost Clap, Solo Clap. I don't remember at the moment. But I'm looking forward to Kumail Nanjiani on Taskmaster, on the new series of Taskmaster. Really hyped for that after the stand-up. But I'll give the mic to you now, Ewan. You watched a bunch of shit, mostly television.
What do you mean
hit me
shit?
with it.
I didn't watch shit.
What?
You said it in a derogatory way. I didn't watch shit.
Oh, no. Like, you watched a lot of...
Okay. Just as we head into it. Let's actually talk about the show first. That is pretty shit.
Oh.
The people will
I was looking forward to it.
It's a Netflix show. You know what? A friend of the podcast, Let Me Explain, Arturo Sarita, actually gave this a 4 out of 5. So, hey, I might be an outlier here. His and Hers, starring Tessa Thompson and John Bernthal, is like a adaptation of a novel from a writer who's very much known for like big twists in her stories. And this one is about two estranged spouses, one a detective, the other one a news reporter, who try to solve a murder in which each believes the other is a prime suspect. I think that logline is way better than the series ever gets to. It's a limited series, so it does conclude and does give you all the answers by the end of it. I wrote down sort of a couple of, because I knew it was someone who packs in, the one or the other twist. So I wrote down 3 possibilities after the first episode of what it could be and who it could be. And they literally went through that beat for beat of what I had called out, what would be the misdirections. And I'm sorry, it feels a bit like I'm up my own, up on a high horse, up my own ass, but like it felt like so predictably, like just kind of lame. And I didn't like the execution. I didn't like the character dynamics. It was well enough, obviously acted and sort of put together, but I just really fundamentally thought the story was pretty stupid. And yeah, it was like, it's giving me like way too many very easy things to root against, so it didn't make it in any way sort of challenging or interesting for a thriller. Unfortunately, quite a bit of a disappointment to a show I was also looking forward to.
Tessa Thompson and John Bernthal are innocent. Because I love John Bernthal. I think he, like, that's one of the actors that,
wait, are they innocent in the story? Like, innocent as
no.
I can't tell you that. I can't spoil that for you.
No, but I again, John Bernthal is one of those actors that, to me, can do no bad on the screen. Like, he's always, even though he does sometimes do the same things in his projects, he like never disappoints.
It's harder to say with Tessa. John Bernthal's character is written a bit better. Also has a bit more depth, and Tessa's is way more sort of in the under a layer of mystery, because it's very much about the plot that sort of things get uncovered. Whereas with John Bernthald's character, it feels like it's very apparent from pretty early on. So he gets to focus a bit more on the core of his character. He's the one, in a lot of ways, in the implications that he has with the crime. A lot of about it is like him sort of trying to understand it as quickly as possible. He's working for the police, but also against it in his own self-interest. That's not really giving anything away about the story. It really doesn't tell you what's going on unless you kind of can predict what is about to unfold. It doesn't really tell you explicitly, but it very much plays with that, like, that they both can be the suspects in their story. Yeah, I really didn't like where it went. Yeah, but I don't know. It's going to be at the bottom. I've already seen a shit ton of series. Actually, shit ton. A bunch of them that have yet to come out. Like ones that release up until April. I've seen like a lot of stuff. That is obviously on embargo. Just like, because I already am talking about a lot today. A lot of that is still yet to come that I'm working on reviews separately. And I think for this section of spotlights, I usually want to keep it to stuff that I recommend watching, but I also don't want to have reviews just to be like, I published a review this week about a movie that I didn't want to talk about because it's not very good, but I did review it. I don't just want to also, just the reviews that we do one-off are all bad movies. I feel like that's also a bad balance to strike, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. I caught up on the cultural phenomenon of Heated Rivalry, and when you start off the first episode of this gay smut hockey adaptation, it is very much apparent that the hockey is not going to be front and center, but it's going to be the sticks, their sticks, and if they can score. If that makes sense. It's a very much a show that is like, two people wanting each other, but it's not okay in the circumstances that they're in. To do that, the first and second pick in the same draft and immediately fall for each other. And then it's about like taking in episodes. Sometimes it jumps ahead like multiple seasons, multiple years, just goes back and forth in this whole time span. And this adaptation is of a long running series that started in like 2018 or something like that, and already has like 7 books in them, or there's a new one coming out this year as well. I don't know if it's already out, and it's been hugely popular. Like I feel like it even made it to the Golden Globes last night, right, with two of them presenting an award there. And I gotta say, I am a bit of a hockey fan. Like, I'm a fan of a bunch of teams. I do watch my fair share, and that's not like a complete affiliation. This is my team, but usually you can't talk about at the moment. You can't talk about them. They are having a horrible run at the moment. Also Boston. Boston is the team that Hollander plays for. And of course, with Crosby, the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm a fan of. I watch a ton of hockey. I watch hockey every day when the season is on. I watch a ton of full games and all of the recaps, literally for like the last 3 seasons. So it's like, I'm interested in this and sort of the broader implications and references it has for hockey as a whole. I used to play myself. And the show is like, in a lot of ways, it's very funny. Like, when they have top-down shots of like where we need to see them. It's like the top half on ice, but then all of the actual like scenes where stuff is happening with the stick on the ice, it's just the lower half of someone, and it's clearly not them. And it's very funny. It's very low production. I think the first 2 episodes, if we're being honest, are not very good. The first 2 episodes of the show are not very good. A lot of them is like, it's just them in hotel rooms, one of them covering part of the other one up as they are like giving oral pleasure to each other. Like, the show is very explicit, but also not that explicit. You never see any nudity in it, like in a way where you see like a dick, where you see like full on nudity, right? It's still covered up, but it's very much like them bent over, and like it's very like, there's a lot of sex in the show, but it's not.
Ewan, I've just gone on series Graf. What the fuck is this shit?
What?
Episode 1, 2, 9.3, 9.4, 9.3, 9.6, 9.9, 9.9. Average 9.6. What the hell is this?
It's one of the greatest shows of all time. No, it's not. It's honestly not that. I think there's just like a lot of excitement at the moment for it, and I totally understand. I think where it really shines is in that 3rd episode, which sees the focus be pulled off of the 2 main guys onto Hunter, another character who is like an old, like someone who's been in the league longer and has been keeping his sexuality a secret for way longer as well, and he falls in love with his barista, and that's actually the first book in the series. Heated Rivalry is the second one. So they sort of, in this first season, weave these 2 stories into the same one, and there's like 3 books in between before they go back to like the story of Ilya Rozanov and Hollander, these 2 lead guys. And then there's 2 books. The last 2 books were about them, I think, centering around them again. I think the sort of backbone of why I really enjoyed this is like, there's a full episode where they're like barely in it. They're just on the sidelines. And that to me was like, a lot of it is like, you can see that it's lower budget. Some of the performances aren't really all the way there yet. I think that the lead guy of Hollander, the Canadian kid, is very like, I just don't like him. He's like very off-putting. He's like in a very like shy, insecure way of, I don't know, something about it I didn't like. I like the dynamic way more between these other 2. And there's genuinely in episode 5 a moment where I was crying. I was hitting my table. I was like screaming. I had a huge fucking reaction to that, because they built to a moment that is so incredibly well done. For a show that really starts off was like, it's not very, it's low budget. It's not really, it's like a B, like, I don't know what you would.
I read that he was shot on a very short time for a series as well. So
exactly,
like, I know
there's a ton of constraints to it, right? That you can feel. And then in the 3rd episode, they do with that limitation quite well. I think a lot of the moments are because it's about their sexual life, and also in the book, from what I've read, I haven't read the book, but from what I've read, a lot of the context just is always in the bedroom within the sex scenes, because that's the only place where they are like secretly together, right? They don't really have public appearances with each other. They can't be out. So a lot of it is in the context of sex that they explore their relationship. And it is very much, I believe, like, about 30-40% of it is definitely like smart of it just actually being, sex stories. That doesn't devalue a story. It ultimately can still be very interesting. And I think for the context of like hockey, I feel like it does a well enough job of like, for example, they call each other by their last names at all times. And when they don't, it is sort of like hockey players do that. They always call themselves by the last name. I don't know if that's also in other sports, probably maybe as well, but like in hockey, it really is like that. And when they do call each other by their first names, it's very like it has a different implication. It's like sort of like that sort of intimacy there, and it's also a show that is full of like these confrontations of the world that doesn't accept them, but when they would reach out to like a certain group of people that they're familiar with, there is that like bond and understanding. And each time it feels like for them, because it also takes place in basically, you know, this guy, Sidney Crosby, and Alexander Ovechkin, which got drafted by the Washington Capitals. For the last decade and a half, yeah, he doesn't know, there's been a rivalry where he's a Canadian, the other guy's Russian. Same dynamic as here. They basically are going through the same like Sochi Olympics, which was the last Winter Olympics where both of them were at. Also, Russia was still there as well. Like they sprinkled in these real things of like obviously not actually calling the teams because I feel like that would be a lot of legal trouble. A lot of them are like innuendos of like the Boston Pistons, and it's like, you know, a dick, and the other thing is like the Montreal no, actually I said it wrong earlier when I said Boston is where the Canadian plays for. It's actually the Russian Ilya who plays for Boston, which is also, no, he's.
I wouldn't have been able to correct you, bro.
It's not a real team. It's like a fictional one. And Montreal has like a sort of thing that looks like, you know, an ass a bit more in the logo, and he's the bottom, and Ilya's the top, and he's the piston with the like a lot of that like innuendo is in there, but it is sometimes a bit more subtle. But then also, you know, in the Hunter story with his barista, all of it is like basically, oh yeah, do you want some extra banana in your smoothie? Because he's a smoothie barista.
So like, so it's also very cheesy then?
It's, yeah, in a lot of ways it is cheese. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, it's it's really hard to describe. I don't know why I got so incredibly invested so quickly, because I was like surprised of how much it connected with people. And then yeah, I don't know. It has like, in a weird enough way, you know how Ted Lasso felt at moments where like that over earnestness like sort of took over and it came off as fake. This is in that sweet period right now where it doesn't feel like that at all, because it's like these moments are made for the first time, especially in like hockey nowadays. I feel like there's no openly gay person, I feel like, in the National Hockey League right now. I think so.
None.
I at least well, and it's not like, you know, it was like, oh, I gotta know who's gay and who's not in the NHL.
To be fair, I guess in a sport like hockey where you know, people are constantly whamming and sort of like a bit different.
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of sports
than soccer,
it's still it still would
football.
be. I think it's also no, you're right about that. I think hockey is definitely also one a bit more of a conservative sport. It's small and niche, and I think it also is more. There's still that thing over there. It's also, Russia is very broadly just like, you know, the unaccepting part, which does make sense. I mean, that's not too far off. There's also like a movie star character who's in there, and like it jumps through time quite a bit. But I think episode 5 is legitimately, from what I've seen so far of this year, has some moments that are on par with something like Industry, like The Pit, which I'm going to talk about in a second, of moments that do truly feel special. And it is about like sort of letting something play out that maybe is very much a dream scenario for someone who is gay and has to sort of say what they feel like hidden, and what someone coming out represents for a larger group of people who sort of carry that burden with them, and how much it feels like when their burden gets lifted that you feel that for them as well. It's very moving. It's incredibly well made, and I'll be checking out season 2 as soon as it drops. So, Heated Rivalry.
I have one more
endorsement. I love it.
I have one more final question for you. Because when I hear you talking about it, especially with all the books, etc., I couldn't stop but help thinking about Heartstopper. So how did it compare to Heartstopper?
I don't like Heartstopper because I think all of the characters are so like they're so.
Because like Heartstopper is critically it's a critical darling from what I've seen.
And Heartstopper is way more of like no, let's not hurt anyone's feelings, and we're so like it is like, to me they're so nice, overly nice, where like that is to, like, I don't know, it makes maybe for teenage characters who are so like maybe fragile. It does make more sense. Here it is pairing it up with sort of the professionalism of being this sort of athlete, and having on top of like them being in love, they have the dilemma of being on two opposing teams who hate each other, which isn't really part of like a huge part of the series. I don't know if it's more in the book, but you don't really feel that like rivalry that much.
No.
But yeah, it has a different dynamic because Ilya is also very short, like quite rude. You know, it's not a lovey-dovey in a way, right? So it has a toughness. So like you're building up to some vulnerability as well. Where I felt like with Heartstopper, everyone is like always already so open, and to me that reads a bit as fake, even though it might be very approachable and like a safe space for people who don't feel safely represented in media, where all of it is always like the tragedy of coming out and all. And this is also, you know, sort of about that, like how all of it is rooted against them to come out, but then it spends so much time with them in these moments where they are intimate with each other, and a lot of it, let's just call a spade. It's just them fucking. Like there's a lot of sex in this. But yeah. What can I say? Heated Rivalry is a ton of fun.
Well, I don't really watch TV, so
yeah.
And again, really I've seen so many things about it, like people raving about it. I also feel like the train is like way further ahead. Like I'm not gonna, you know.
I also felt that, and then I just binged it all yesterday, and I was really.
I mean, the amount of series you've binged these past few days is crazy. Like I could never. Never. I'm a movie guy. I've only done that a handful of times with The Leftovers. The Leftovers is one of my favorite series of all time. And with Game of Thrones. Like, those are really the only two series I've ever, like, binge-watched fully. Maybe Deadwood as well. Mm-hmm. But, yeah.
Well, let's talk about another show that I binged just last year, I believe. There were 3 seasons out of Industry. I had to catch up on. It's a show that I've been sleeping on for a long time, an HBO show. Honestly, you should kind of know that HBO comes with a quality seal these days. There's some hint other shows that are under embargo by HBO that might be really good because it's HBO. They make good series. You can expect those. And Industry might be in its final season. Like if they ended here, I'd be happy. Because it once again delivers a show that is like, it starts out with a bunch of young bankers and traders who, you know, enter the financial world, right? They all make the entry at like a firm that's called Pierpoint, and you know they're stock traders and whatever, like they're working there. And then the show isn't afraid to really, really branch out more broadly as these financial people like have the influence in like government and shaping the country, and how these rich fucks have only their like self-enrichment in mind. And it has a collection of truly fucking despicable characters, and it is then so tightly written in the way that it like constructs these characters that are truly frustrating to see act out their the sort of imperfections. And I also really love, I'm not going to say specifically because a lot of people have not seen the first 3 seasons, let alone only the first episode of season 4 is out. And I should have said it at the start, I've seen the whole show thanks to HBO for providing the screeners. I binged through the whole series, and like that's also, it's a almost 1 hour 50 minutes per episode. I really just binged that all day. Like where it maybe twists some of the, like early on I was like on the side of some characters a bit more, but it really like pushes and pulls on like who's in the right, or is there actually a position that is right, or is this just like this whole world fucked? And I feel like in this 4th season it really becomes way more about like this whole system is so fucking fucked. It's so frustrating, and all of these characters are like playing within that. It is like much like Succession was, very much contemporary, can reference a lot of things directly because the financial like it feels very current. It's not like, even though it's obviously production schedule, you know, takes a time to get something written and filmed and edited and out there, but it still feels very timely. Incredibly well done show. Honestly, you know, The Pitt was my favorite show of last year, and I also got to see the first couple of episodes. I'll transition to The Pitt here in conjunction because they're 2 shows that you can see over on HBO. Was my favorite show of last year. in the way that it sort of just gave you like a very intense shift, right? Presented that of in an ER, sort of continuing that show of ER, also starring Noah Weil here, with so many characters that it could feel overbearing, and it also introduces in the second season a couple of new people, and it, like this you're in, and they're like in the fold of the set of characters, and it just like it makes sense, or this whole show makes sense, and it's incredibly impressive how it like weaves you from moment to moment. Takes the time to like, I've seen some criticisms of some other outlets that were like saying like, okay, they were the highs of season 1 and they were praised, and now they're riding high on like maybe sort of that little self-righteousness of tackling certain topics that are broader for an audience that is already willing to accept it. And I definitely see that criticism that sometimes shows do that. I feel like it is wrong though, because they do it well. And it's like that fine line that you have to ride that like other shows, like for example, I bring it back to Ted Lasso, that really lost its marbles towards the end of like, there was no substance to be left because all they were doing were like, you know, these larger topics that they wanted to tackle. So industry,
but from what I've heard of industry, this show only picks up because the first 2 seasons, from what I've heard, aren't great. But it's from the third season.
Okay, so I gotta say, 4th season is maybe on par a little bit. The first few episodes of season 4 took a while for me to get into it. I think the last couple of episodes in season 4 are truly like pretty great, but it feels like it's on the verge of maybe losing it at the highest level of television filmmaking. It's like it's not all the way up there. I think season 3 is one of the best seasons of TV ever made. It really is like incredible. And the first 2 seasons are like they're great. I wouldn't call them the best ever made, but season 3 is like the peak of industry, and it like season 4 doesn't eclipse that, but it's still like an incredibly well made show that, again, could go on further, could conclude here. I hope they keep going. There's a lot, like it's not.
What's your favorite performance?
I love Marissa Abella. She's fucking incredible. Actually, no, Tony Leung.
Because I saw Marissa Abella on like the press tour for industry, and obviously she was in Black Bag as well, and I adored the performance in there.
I also like Miala. She has a character that is very like, she's the most ambitious one,
right?
The one that comes from the least privilege, but sort of builds on that. Like in season 4, there's still a lot to uncover from these characters, because they're always so closed off and focused on, you know, making money. It often makes them lose sight of who they are as people, and also, it's not about them finding out maybe deep down they're good people. Them being open with each other and being able to say, no, I'm a fucking horrible person. So it's like, it's so many horrible people in this that it just agrees of how horrible they are. And it's also not like about a catharsis of seeing someone, you know, like fall down and whatever. There's a lot of tragedy in this where there is like the nuances and layers of empathy that you have for someone who's truly comes from privilege, and like, dude, there's so much. I'm going to review this whole season as it's on its own, for maybe a bit more of an audience that has already seen the previous 3, because there's a ton to really dive deeper into, and we already went way over time with this podcast, so that and
what? No,
the Pit doing a bit of overtime, it feels appropriate to do a bit of overtime for the Pit, but it just like kind of continues on from where it left off in season 1, and also sort of with Noah Weil's character after the events of the first series. It like picks up on this takes place during the 4th of July, and it sort of is in the thing of like he's going on a break for like a couple of months, so it's like his last shift and someone else is about to take over, and that person is the new character who's in the show, and like sort of that dynamic of like the different approaches to things, and it also like it is a bit of a time jump here. It's just so perfectly done. Like,
when does
really,
it take place? When did it take place? The Pit?
4th of July.
4th of July.
So there's a lot of like firework related injuries and stuff like that. I think it just premiered its first episode on January 8th, and it will have, I believe, another 15 episode season, taking place over, it's usually in real time. So it will be another like 15 episodes. And usually I think a shift is about like 10 or 11 hours, and it goes into overtime, which I assume here is another event that causes a few more them to have which is just about teased. I seen up to episode 9, and they've just like left it off at a perfect place where I want to see more. So I've seen a bit more of half the season, and I'm incredibly impressed. I'm sure that it's going to be like at the top of my, I would be so surprised if it's not my favorite show of 2026 as well. And they've already been renewed for a 3rd season. So the Pitt,
favorite show of 2027,
maybe even call it early, because they've also been so impressed. Like they have 15 episodes per season. They all range from 50, like they're 50 plus minutes each. And they've just wrapped like a couple of nights ago on season 2. That's why I only had access to the first 9 episodes.
Yeah.
They're literally like still doing that, finishing up. Also, with Industry, I did get the last 2 episodes were not 100% finished. So it was so funny because like the VFX, I didn't notice. A ton of like wide shots, they just have the boom mics are just like in frame.
Oh.
And I knew that they were doing that, but seeing that like in a story is so funny. Like it didn't take me out that much, but like in all of the wides, someone just like in one of the scenes where it was happening the first time, just 2 boom mics like were lowered into the scene. So yeah, but yeah.
But I might honestly catch up on the Pit. But what I find most admirable is the dedication to, hey, this is gonna be a yearly show. No 3 years waiting bullshit. And like we're dedicated to not doing 5, 6, 7 now. We're doing 15. We're renewing it already for season 3, where we'll probably take another day. And so I'm their work ethic around the Pit, I really admire in a day of these high quality TV series where we have to wait so long for season 2. So that's the thing I admire the most, and is the thing that makes me want to actually watch this show. So.
Yeah. I mean, I can second that, and I think it also comes from because there's not like people who are well known from other movies and TV shows. So there's that availability that for the foreseeable future they can only be doing this, right? I hope like this is the sort of legacy shows that we don't really get that much anymore, and not on that quality. They used to be on that quality. ER, literally a predecessor for this, which they didn't, with the rights, didn't get to continue. So they made something different here, but. The Pit and Industry, keep them on your radar, especially the Pit. I think is worth catching up on.
And HBO Max still delivering. They've got a stacked, 2026 from what I've heard as well, with the new spin-off, Game of Thrones thing, whatever. I've long checked out on that, but
that's the one I've seen and I can't talk about.
Oh. Can you hint me something?
Well, I can't, not on the podcast, but.
All right. Well, do you have anything else to talk about, or?
I mean, I watched the first movie from 2026 for me, at least the one that was in theaters. Yeah, I'm about to see 28 Years Later, which will be our topic next week, tomorrow morning at a press screening. But I also went to see Primate, which is the one where...
Did the movie 8?
The movie 8?
Yeah.
Because it's a monkey who goes crazy and eats people. Sorta. I don't know. He gets rabies and then he just goes crazy and becomes a killer monkey. And it has Troy Kotsur in it.
Troy Kotsur is in this movie. Yeah.
And
how is he?
It's disappointing, the sort of thing that an Oscar win gets you, right? He's barely in the film. He's in it at the beginning. He's there for the final sequence, and that's basically it. Bit of like an action moment, and there's like, it's basically, he can't be there for all of the murder and mayhem. Otherwise, he would have to be more involved. So they just put him out of the movie, and then he comes back in.
Right.
And it's about like 2 sisters and friends that come over, and then also like calling in a few more people. Like basically on break, and they have a pet monkey. Sorry, if you have a pet monkey in 2026, honestly, like
after Nope.
Well, not after Nope, just because of like the
I know.
They have a home in Hawaii, and it's like so off from any other houses, so it's like in the middle of wilderness always, and it's like on the side of a cliff, so it's also like rich people keep a monkey. I'm like, all of you fucks, hopefully you die. You suck.
You deserve it.
And then it's very funny because it's like, it's a family movie, so you can expect like not for families, but like a movie about like the core family. So it's like it's pretty obvious, like the extended cast that's there, like, oh yeah, who's going to die first? And it's like, a lot of jump scares, a lot of brutal kills. At least finishers.
Sounds like a Blumhouse.
It does sound like a Blumhouse. I don't even know who made it.
I'm looking it up. Oh no, Paramount Pictures. Alright, so it isn't Blumhouse. Alright.
Well, I hope this gets them closer to buying Warner Brothers, I guess. I don't know. Fucking know. And then I also watched The Housemaid, which my review on Letterboxd read. Can someone tell me if the book is also this horrible, or is it just this adaptation? And my other tagline was Sydney sleeping at the wheel, Sweeney, because she is quite bad in this film. And Brandon Sklenar and Amanda Seyfried are a bit better, a bit more explosive and big in what they get to do, but it's another book adaptation that like maybe you can play it out in your head as you're reading it, but as a movie, it's really, really silly. I don't know if I need to say more about like what The Housemaid is about. It's
fine. I mean
it's also going to be a sequel.
Yeah, I was just about to say there's going to be a second one. So
the way that they ended is also just like sequel bait, and it's like the most cringe way to like bait a sequel, as if it doesn't make any sense. It's like it's reducing. I don't know. Isn't it great when entertainment is femicide? Don't we love a woman being murdered on screen for our entertainment, or domestic violence? Good fun. And that's
I just don't know what happened with Paul Feig. The guy did brilliant movies. Bridesmaid, I like The Heat. Spy is great. A Simple Favor. I feel like A Simple Favor was
I'm
such
someone
a success.
who's a bit lower on Bridesmaid as well. I think it's good. I don't think it's great, and I really can say that I don't really enjoy any of his movies that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think Spy. I really like Spy, and The Heat. I also think is really good. A Simple Favor was enjoyable, but I think since A Simple Favor, because that was such a success, I feel like he's gone down this route.
Yeah, he had Jackpot as well in 2024, which I thought was like also very.
I haven't even seen another Simple Favor because of how atrocious the reviews are. So I don't know what needs to be done for him to make good movies again. Because I see potential.
I had an alternate for my review for this Housemaid, and I was like, Paul Feig needs to stop making movies. Honestly, I don't think there's a way out. It's just bad. It's just bad. But people seem to have enjoyed that quite a bit, or at least it was like quite popular. But yeah, that brings an end to this very long recording. Jesus Christ.
To be fair, it's stacked. It was stacked. We knew it was stacked, especially with the Golden Globes as well.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Well, next week, what are we doing next week?
The Bone Temple. We're boning, Kevin. 28. Sorry.
What the fuck?
Sorry, I just thought the Heated Rivalry sequel series takes too long to come, so we just take over. Anyways, we are gonna review.
I did not
28.
consent to this.
Yeah, no. That's why I'm moving on past your non-consent. Oh my god, it's problematic. No, we are reviewing Nia DaCosta's 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, the second, I guess, in this trilogy of films. So I'm interested to see where
nice
she
afford.
Stop rage baiting me. You know what I mean. For the context to the viewer, this is a new trilogy of films after the first two films, but it's technically the fourth in the series. It's like a real Jumanji type of thing.
Exactly.
Then I don't know 100% it's out in theaters this year, but we are probably going to review Rental Family as well. And then the classic review that we're going to do is going to be Infernal Affairs, which isn't going to be like a weekly thing, depending on how stacked the rest of the Spotlight sections are. But we might, splice in an older film every now and then.
Spotlight World Cinema.
I got to take a break. It's been long. Hope you had a good time with those recommendations and the reviews today. And we will see you soon.
Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us if Julie Haggerty looks like Alison Brie. And
cut!